Say my name. Say it. Say it like you know my sin. Woke up to a world gone black. Every eye on my back. Every voice speaks in code, like they know what I don't. Hands clean but they don't care. Truth dies in the air. I can feel it closing in like a sickness on my skin. They don't want truth, they want a fake. Something easy they can replace. I feel it crawling under my skin. Tell me, where do I begin? Play devil's advocate for me now. Break their story, show me how. If I'm wrong, then let me see. But no one stands, no one speaks. Say my name like I'm the curse. Say it loud, make it worse. If I'm the monster they believe, then I'll be what they need. Every whisper feeds the flame. Every shadow knows my name. I don't recognize that man, but they swear I am what I am. Walls talk when I'm alone. Truth cracks in the tone. Every doubt starts to fade. Every lie feels like fate. No one's coming, no one fights. No one questions wrong or right. If I scream, it feeds the sound of a king without a crown. Play devil's advocate for me now. Tear it open, break it down. If there's truth, let it breathe, or just bury it with me. Say my name like I'm the curse. Drag me deep, or make it worse. If I'm the monster they believe, then I'll be what they need. Say it, say it, say it again. Say it, say it, say it again. You want a villain, I can feel it. You need a reason, I'll be coming. You built the cage, I'm living in it. Now watch me wear it like I meant it. Say my name, say my name. Feed the fire, feed the flame. Say my name, say my name. Feed the fire. Don't play devil's advocate for me now. There's no truth left to be found. You made the shape, I'll fit inside. Let it live, let it ride. Say my name like I'm the curse. I am everything you've rehearsed. If I'm the monster that you believe, then I'll be what you need. Say my name. Say it again. Say it like you know my sin.
All right, welcome to Crimes After Dark on Friday. It's Friday Buckery. And I get a little looser, if that's even humanly possible, on the weekend, especially on Friday nights. So welcome to another show. Now we're going to discuss, we did discuss yesterday, Robin and I, the Syra interview and the custody queens, and they did a phenomenal job of that. And it's dividing people. The interview is dividing people. People are digging in now. BK is clearly guilty after watching Syra. I'm sorry. I now realize he absolutely is guilty. Other people are like, oh my God, Syra lied on so many things and admitted that he didn't even see the evidence, but yet he's going to tell us how to feel about it. Did he stay in his lane? Did he go out of his lane? We're going to talk about all those things. I'm going to take off the parental advisory. You should know by now, never fucking watch my show with children. That should be a foregone conclusion. All right. So I'm going to bring my panel up. Robin, Dago from True Crime Cafe. We're going to get him on stage here shortly, although I see that Dago's not actually at his chair, so maybe I'll stall a minute. I'm bringing him on camera. But I want to say this as well. One thing I want to say about the channel before I bring my panel up is this. I'm not unreasonable. I want to make sure you hear this. I am not unreasonable. I don't have a dog in this fight. If Bryan Kohberger is guilty, I'm willing to say, look, I was wrong about thinking he might not be, but I'm not there yet. So don't think I'm there yet. But what I'm saying is I'm a reasonable guy. If you are a reasonable person out there, especially if you're in Moscow Police Department law enforcement, or if you're in the area and you watch the show, because it seems like we have a few people who seem to know a lot about this case and just sit in the wings. If you want to come up and have a conversation with us, anonymize yourself some way or whatever, or keep your picture off so you don't have to say, you are welcome to come up and talk with us. And I will treat you, and so will my entire panel, with the utmost respect. And we will soften our tone. We will soften our yelling. We will soften our anger, and we will listen. What did we miss? Tell us what we missed. I would give my right testicle right now to have somebody tell me, what did I miss? And let me push back a little bit. If I missed that, then why isn't it in the public record? Why do I have to trust that that's the truth without seeing it for myself? So let's have a discussion if you're out there. So I welcome that. I welcome anybody to join us on stage tonight. We're going to talk as a group. I'm going to get Dago's opinions on what he thinks about that interview. And Robin and I talked about it at length, and I want your opinions. So if you'd like to join us, I will say this. If you join us tonight, because this conversation is going to be potentially heated, please make your question or your point quick, and then we'll address it. And more than likely, we'll move on to another question or whatever. What I don't want to do is get into a lengthy fight and debate with somebody who's dug in and we're dug in, and then it just feels like we're just repeating the same shit. We won't do repeating the same shit over and over again. But if you make a point and it's new, something that we have to reconsider or whatever, and you're not just beating the same point over, or vice versa, we'll continue that dialogue. But I don't want to just have us saying the same things over and over again. But you are totally welcome, and you will be treated with respect. That goes for family members in this case. That goes for law enforcement in this case. Anybody who wants to say, devil's advocates, you totally fucking missed the boat. What you don't understand is that I want to hear from you. But let's get the panel assembled and talk about, until that time, what you guys feel about Syra's presentation on the custody queens. Whether or not it changed your mind about Bryan Kohberger's guilt, whether you felt that Syra kind of moved out of his lane and maybe spoke about some things that he shouldn't have said. How do you guys feel? Dago, maybe you should go first. Robin and I had a lot of time last night, so why don't you go first?
Avengers assemble. Yeah, I did a little bit of it last night until about 1 a.m. and then I was burnt out, and then I did the rest today till about I don't know, 60 seconds ago. And well, a little bit longer than that. There was a lot. There was a whole lot. I'm just pissed. I mean, there was a lot of lying. There was a lot of backpedaling. I mean, there's so much backpedaling. Like the dude probably could have ridden across the country backwards on a bike. It was just a lot, and I want to know. And people can call me a conspiracy theorist. I don't give a shit. Who got to you, bro? Who hurt you, Cy? That's what I want to know, because you can't make the statements that he's made within his affidavits, things like that, and turn around and say, "But Bryan did it." Okay,
Dago,
so 1 second, I'm almost done. My biggest issue with him that he said repeatedly, again and again and again and again, is that there is I can't think of the word he used, but basically an outlandish amount of of evidence against him, but you haven't showed me one fucking thing. Sorry. And they
No,
won't.
don't be
They
sorry.
won't show it to any of it to us. So that's my biggest problem.
So there's something that I've been really stewing on. Syra's reversal of his opinions, it seems. Robin, did you have something?
I just want to let you know I do have a monologue. One wrote a monologue.
Okay, yeah, because I'm about to bust
Yeah,
open
I was
this
just gonna say
motherfucker.
before you get any further,
Right.
and it's pretty spicy from what I understand. So
All right, let's do your monologue, and then it'll get
yeah.
listened to.
Unfortunately, one can't be here with us again tonight because
He needs
he's
to
working
be.
like a double or whatever. But this is essentially his rebuttal to Cy, so that everyone understands. I'm just reading this for 1-1 because he cannot be here. So
I wish he
let
was.
me know. Can you guys still see me?
Yes.
Yeah, you're full
Okay.
screen, man. You got it
All
all.
right,
Hello.
excellent. Okay, so here we go. Is it good to be alive in the den on a Friday night?
Always.
All right. So, Jackson, Juliana, you are the light of your daddy's eyes. And Mrs. 1-1, you know how much he loves you. So, the lights are low. The city is asleep. But some questions refuse to die. Welcome to Crimes After Dark. Tonight, we're walking back into a case that has divided investigators, experts, lawyers, and an entire true crime community unlike anything we've seen in years. A case where 4 young lives were stolen. A case that changed a quiet college town forever. A case that has generated millions of pages of discussion, endless theories, countless opinions, and one question that still echoes through every courtroom filing, every interview, and every late night conversation. Have we really been told the whole story? Tonight, our focus turns to one man whose work became a lightning rod in the Idaho 4 investigation, digital forensic expert Syra. His original analysis became one of the most discussed pieces of expert work connected to this case. It raised questions, it fueled debate, it challenged assumptions. Supporters pointed to it, critics attacked it. And for many people following this investigation, it became one of the most significant documents filed by the defense. But time has passed, the case has changed, the evidence has grown, and now so has the conversation. In recent interviews, Syra has made statements that many observers believe differ from how his earlier report was understood. So tonight we ask, why? Did additional discovery answer the questions he originally raised? Did seeing evidence unavailable to the public change his conclusions? Were his original findings misunderstood? Or are there still pieces of this investigation that remain hidden behind sealed documents, unanswered questions, and evidence the public has never seen? Because that's what we're here to do, not to defend, not to prosecute, not to chase clicks. We're here to compare what was said with what is being said now, word by word, claim by claim, timeline by timeline. Because in criminal investigations, details matter, consistency matters. And when positions appear to evolve, asking why isn't conspiracy, it's investigation. Tonight, we'll examine the interview, we'll revisit the original report, we'll compare the public record, and we'll let you decide whether the pieces fit together or whether there are still gaps too large to ignore. Some people believe the case is over, others believe the biggest questions were never answered. Some are convinced justice has been served, others believe the search for the complete truth has only just begun. Wherever you stand, leave your assumptions at the door. Bring your curiosity, bring your skepticism, and above all, bring your willingness to follow the evidence wherever it leads. Because evidence doesn't care about popularity, it doesn't care about social media, it doesn't care about headlines. It simply waits for someone willing to look closely enough. Tonight, we'll ask the difficult questions. We'll challenge our own assumptions. We'll examine the facts that support one side and the facts that challenge the other. Because if the truth is strong, It has nothing to fear from honest scrutiny. And if there are still unanswered questions, they deserve to be asked. Will we ever know everything that happened inside 1122 King Road? Will every report, every analysis, every digital breadcrumb, and every unanswered detail eventually come into the light? Or will some pieces of this story remain buried beneath sealed records and the passage of time? Only time will answer that. Until then, we keep asking, we keep examining, we keep following the evidence, no matter where it leads. So pour yourself a fresh cup of coffee, turn the lights down just a little lower, lock the door, and step with us into the darkness. Because tonight, the shadows aren't just hiding secrets, they may be protecting the answers. This is Crimes After Dark.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. 1-1 and Robin for reading 1-1's words. I want to start by reading something that I want you to think about. If you watch Syra's interview, and I want Dago, because I know he just watched it as well, I want you to think about what is said. I'm going to read to you, I'm going to show it on screen so you can read it with me. A filing by Ann Taylor about what Syra was going to testify to at trial. Okay, are you ready? This is going to be what Syra was going to testify. And you tell me if that's the same fucking thing Syra said the other night with the custody queens. Because he's changed his opinion from what he was going to testify on. And I'm going to show it to you in writing. Are you ready? Let's do it.
Yep, do it.
All right, so this is electronically filed 4/17/2024 in the state of Idaho versus Brian Kohberger. Mr. Kohberger, this is from Ann Taylor's words. Mr. Kohberger moved to Pullman, Washington in June of 2022. As an avid runner and hiker, he explored many areas of the Palouse. Of note, he explored Wawaway Park on July of 2022, and this became a favorite location. After school year began, Mr. Kohberger was busy with his classes and work at Washington State University, and as running and hiking decreased, but did not stop. Instead, his nighttime drives increased. This is supported by data from Mr. Kohberger's phone, showing him in the countryside late at night and or early morning on several occasions. The phone data includes numerous photographs taken on several different late evenings and early mornings, including November depicting the night sky. So Kohberger would go out night driving and take pictures of the night sky with his phone, all like everybody was laughing at. He didn't go night driving, bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Kohberger was out driving in the early mornings of the hour of November 13th, as he often did, to hike or run or see the moon and stars. And he drove through that area south of Pullman, and west, not east, of Moscow, Idaho, including Wawaway Park. Listen carefully, because what Syra told you was very, very different last night. Mr. Kohberger intends to offer testimony of Syra, a CSLI expert, cell tower, cell phone, and other radio frequencies curricula vitae is attached, to show that Brian Kohberger's mobile device was south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho on November 13th. Listen, Syra was going to testify Brian Kohberger's phone was south and west, not going towards Moscow, but going towards Wawaway Park. And that's what he was going to testify about. He said last night, Brian Kohberger didn't go south. He went north. He went on a northerly route and went through Indian Hills down into Moscow. And that the car that we see on camera coming out of Pullman didn't turn left heading east towards Moscow, but turned right heading towards Wawaway Park. But it wasn't Brian Kohberger's car. He said that, unless I completely misunderstood him. And he said multiple times, Kohberger went north, not south. But according to this, Syra was going to testify Brian Kohberger went south and west towards Wawaway Park. What has changed? Because Syra was going to testify he went south and towards Wawaway Park. And even when the custody queens asked him, was he near Wawaway Park? He said, yeah, he was near Wawaway Park. How does Brian Kohberger simultaneously go north and then east towards Moscow and drop down into Moscow to commit the murders if he's going towards Wawaway Park? And what happened with this idea that now there's a different car? It's not Brian Kohberger's car that we see going east to Wawaway Park because Kohberger went north. But there it is in writing. Syra was going to testify that Brian Kohberger went west towards Wawawe Park that night and south of Pullman. But the other night on the custody queens, he said that he went north and drove through Indian Hills down into Moscow. What do you guys make of that, for starters?
Well, it's called talking out of both sides of your ass.
Bullshit.
Sorry.
I'm
Sorry.
gonna call the bullshit. I'm just no.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, he also every time it was. Sorry, Robin. Go ahead, hon. I
no,
didn't
that's
mean to
okay.
do
Go
that.
ahead. No, go ahead.
He also brought up, like, whenever things specifics were brought up, he refused to talk about it. Okay, he'd make a statement like that, like you said he did last night, and then he would, I don't even want to get into talking about the fog lights. Well, why not?
Why
Why
not?
not?
Why
Right.
not, Cy? Why? Because you know that it's going to prove what you just said is to be wrong. You know what I mean? It's not. Oh my God! Here we go. Okay. He did that more than once. It wasn't just on the fog lights. I'm not going to speak on that. I don't want to get into this. I don't want to get into that. So on and so forth. There was no cleanup. All of this shit. But that one right there in itself was big. Okay. You know, that was a dramatic change, Lee. That's a dramatic
Yes.
change. Okay. I want to know how and why. That's what I want to know.
Let me
Not to-
point out another dramatic change. Another dramatic change. Syra at one point indicated that if you look at Brian Koberger's pattern of behavior, he commonly took random roads at night, drove at night, would go on random roads, suggesting that Brian Koberger being out driving that night is nothing new for Brian Koberger. He was gonna say it shows nothing. It shows his pattern of behavior was normal. That's what he normally did. And somehow in the custody queens last night, he said Brian Koberger frequently took the northern route to Idaho and suggested he did it every single week, as if trying to plant in your mind Koberger was planning the route for some time, every single week driving. Where the fuck did that change?
He
Because
made the,
Syra used to say that it wasn't different. There was nothing unusual about his driving at night. Now he's saying he drove every single week going to Moscow through Indian Hills to plan the route.
he made both those statements in the same sentence, Lee. I sat and stopped it, and I said, I started calling him Captain Contradiction. He was doing it like he would, like what you just said, and then he said, but with what we know about the case, that's worrisome. You cannot say that it's normal for him to do it in that 3 words ago, and then say that it's a problem now. You can't do that. Okay, I'm sorry.
Let me show you. Let me tell you another. Sorry, Robin. Go ahead. I got a third one. Go ahead, Robin.
No, go ahead.
So I got a third one. He said last night, or the other night with the custody queens, and the way he worded it was careful. So I got to try. I'm telling you how I remember it. So if I get it wrong, fucking forgive me. I'm not saying he verbatim. What he said was, we got cell phone data from all of the victims and Brian Koberger for the 6 months prior to the murders. And if you overlay all the data, it shows a very interesting story. Well, that's funny because the custody queen said, didn't you say in your report that you looked at all the data and you overlaid them and there's no connection points between Brian Koberger and any of the victims? So when did that fucking change? When did that change? Because now all of a sudden it tells a very interesting story, but before it told no fucking story. But now all of a sudden it tells a very interesting story. So what changed?
There's 2 things that come out of that one. Go ahead. Did you have something to say, Robin? You can go first.
Oh no, I was just gonna say almost all of that interview was contradictions, either to his affidavit or to one statement to another during the interview.
Yes, big time, many times. But as I was going to say real quick, there's more than one thing that came out of what Lee just said. Number one, okay, what changed? What changed is the number one thing with him. Number two, if I had, I would have paid anything to see somebody at that point go slap handcuffs on Ashley Jennings for lying to the fucking court, being held in contempt because she sat there and lied directly to the court on camera to the judge and said, no, Your Honor, we don't have that information. He proves it right there that they had that information and 6 months of it beforehand, folks. Why did she get away with that? That's another big problem right there. She should have been held in contempt and in my opinion, should be arrested. 1,000,000%. So that's another point that needs to be made with this as well. And we all watched the hearing, okay, where she stated, "No, Your Honor, we don't have that information. I don't have it. It's a lie. He has it. He pointed it. He proved it. It's all there." That, again, has happened many, many times within the case. So, again, but going back to the other point, what has happened? What has happened, Sai? Who hurt you? Again, why are you changing your mind and doing complete fucking 360s on these things? It's insane. It is insane. I want to know what happened.
Yeah, several people in the chat, when I was watching him on the Custody Queens, several people in the chat was saying, "Did somebody get to you, Sai? How are you changing your opinion?" A lot of people thought that that's what happened, that something happened. Now, Sergeant Friday, also AKA Your Ass Hurts News Network,
Yes.
had said, "You guys are missing something crucial." And because we know Sergeant Friday and have
He's got a
respect for him,
different take.
I'm gonna listen to his take. Let's bring him up.
Hell
All
yeah.
right, what do you got? What do you got, Sergeant Friday?
Left side.
I'm putting on my blindfold because I see the firing squad is already lined up.
Hopefully we're not behind the
I
guns.
think Robin's holding the flag ready to yell fire.
Oh, I knew when I watched the interview that he was going to have an opposite take.
I think you guys missed something, and I think a lot of people miss this.
Okay.
There's two stories here. What Syra is telling you is that the story that the police used on Brian Kohberger is wrong.
I agree.
And that story can't be supported by any single solitary fact whatsoever.
Right.
And that you haven't heard the last of this case yet.
Correct.
Now, what he's also telling you is that once he compiled all the data, they should have used his data to go after Brian Kohberger. You see, both things can be true.
Yes.
One, Brian Kohberger could be the killer. Two, the information that the police used on the probable cause affidavit, the car that they tracked, the car that they reported is false. They never corrected it.
Right.
Right.
You understand?
And I agree.
So I think what we're missing is Syra is saying, I disagree with a lot of his points, but in this particular point, realize that the information they used to apply for the original warrant to arrest was false.
Right.
They never corrected it. Therefore, everything later is fruit from the poison tree.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to be an egotist. Hold on. I want to be an egotistical bastard for just a moment. I was at the very beginning telling everybody be careful with Syra. Syra never said Brian Kohberger was innocent. I told people stop acting like you think Syra is going to be the savior of this case. He never said that Brian Kohberger was innocent. What he said was essentially, what I know is they're not telling the full truth on the data they're using. And like you said, both situations can be true. Syra can believe that Brian Kohberger is the killer and that law enforcement lied to get him. And both of those things can be true. And that's where I think Syra, so what I'm saying egotistical is I want to defend. I've said that all along. Syra could totally believe that all along that Brian Kohberger was the guy, but he knows that they lied and manipulated data to get him. And that's his problem, supposedly.
Lower the heat in the room a little bit, because what he said is more important than his beliefs in guilt or innocence. This is what I said on your show, Dago, when I first came around.
I was going to say, he's been
saying
this for 4 years.
Right guy.
Right.
I hope he is the right guy, because this case is so effed up from the floor up that this will eventually let this guy free. You see, when they applied for the probable cause affidavit, and we all know that Bill Thompson, that doesn't matter anymore. The reason he would say that is because every single thing in that probable cause affidavit was based off false information. Not false in the aspect that Brian had nothing to do with this crime, but false in the times, false in the vehicle identification, false in the movements of that vehicle, false in suggesting he turned his phone off at a certain time. All of that was false. Therefore, when they arrested him, the arrest was unlawful. And any warrant that comes after that arrest is also unlawful.
Yes.
That's what matters here. Not the fact that he believes he did it, not the fact that his complete cast work, he said if they followed what the truth was, they probably would have came to a better or at least the same outcome of charging Brian Kohberger.
And I 100% agree. He made a statement similar to that, which was something to this effect. This is not a matter of guilt or innocence. It's a matter of whether the judicial system failed. And that's what happened. So his point is, and look, we have to take his opinion under advisement. His point is he believes Brian Koberger absolutely is the killer and they got the right guy, but they did so incorrectly. And if we allow law enforcement to keep doing this incorrectly, it's going to lead to a problem. We've got a broken judicial system because of the way they did it. And the worst part about it is he left us with this problem. What if, because they fucked this up, and he gets an appeal, and he wins on appeal because fruit poisoned his tree? I've got a lot of things I'm trying to say. If he was right, they didn't have to use IGG, but they did. And when they used IGG, they screwed the entire case because there's no probable cause to start with, and therefore everything down the road is fruit of the poisonous tree.
Everything.
If that leads to a murderer walking free, he says we should be infuriated. But what are we supposed to do about it? Because the system broke and it wasn't supposed to do that. We have to fix the system before it does do it to an innocent person. And I'm not saying Brian Koberger isn't innocent, because he may be, but I'm saying, how do we wrestle with that? Well, he's leaving with us a conundrum.
Now you would get the attention of the public in a way that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That's what I said in the very beginning. The only reason, folks, I ever got involved with the Brian Koberger case was because of that freaking affidavit. They go tell you that's the only reason I got involved. I said, listen, this is all exculpatory. None of this can be proven. There's no fact in this. It's all a conspiracy theory, right? And we all know that to be true, but I knew that imminently the minute I read it. And when you're listening to these news reports telling you this is the most significant probable cause evidence, they don't know what they're talking about. I do. I'm a criminal. I know. And this is what Syra is telling us today now, 3 years later, that particular, the way they arrested this kid, he was the best suspect. He absolutely should have been considered the killer, and he absolutely should have been investigated, and they absolutely should never have applied to arrest him for a quadruple homicide with that paperwork. They should never have done that. And they did.
Like I said last night, here's my message to law enforcement. Stop trusting the fucking FBI with every little thing and do your own work. Do the actual legwork. Don't just trust what the FBI is handing you is correct or is going to hold up, because now here we are.
This isn't the failing, though, of the FBI. I don't want to be contradictory. The FBI did their job, and their information is actually
they violated their own policies, Sarge.
That's true. But their conclusions,
so that doesn't give me a level of trust.
Right, but even if they didn't use the FBI, these clowns would have done what they did anyway.
Oh, that's a fact. That the Moscow PD is absolutely a fucking favoring circus without a doubt.
A message to other law enforcement, not Moscow.
Don't
right.
Make this mistake. Yeah.
Right. What I think, let me try to reiterate what I think, Robin, forgive me if I get this wrong, but I think here's the thing. A lot of people, and maybe even law enforcement as well, think that the FBI is the creme de la creme. They're the top of they're like the FBI. So if the FBI says a guy is guilty, then he's probably guilty. So did this whole investigation go off the rails because the FBI said, Brian Koberger is the guy, trust us, bro. And then they thought to themselves, well, if the FBI says it's true, it's got to be true. And then they built a case around it because they took the opinion, as many of us would, that the FBI is probably not wrong. They're the fucking FBI. Like, it's the top authority in the country for law enforcement. So if they say he's guilty, he probably is guilty.
But I will say this, and I got to call this too, as much as it pissed me off, a lot of what Sy said. He did make one very valid statement in regards to the FBI. It's not the whole FBI, folks. It's fucking.
It was two
Balance.
guys in the FBI. Right. It was two guys.
Nick Balance and Kennedy absolutely should have been arrested. Should be arrested, locked away, because those are the ones that he's pointing at that intentionally fucked this whole thing up. Okay, for whatever reason, that's the question everybody has that nobody has an answer to. Why? And it was known well on. If you go backwards, Sarge, you remember this too. Ann Taylor stating that she wanted to impeach Nick Balance on the stand. That's what Hitler said. Well, yeah, we can do it, but not in front of the jury. You can do it off the record. Well, there's a problem, okay? And there's their problem with the FBI is those guys right there, specifically Balance, in my opinion. And that's been proven time and time again. So, that's the issue with the FBI. I don't believe the whole FBI is rotten, okay?
Well, yeah,
not the whole FBI, but there were more FBI agents involved in this case than two.
Oh, yeah.
There were the agents that were in charge of gathering those profiles and submitting them all,
of course,
against their policy, backdoor, two dead men and whatever.
Yeah, right.
So there's more than just two.
Right. But
Well,
to be fair,
he also
I'm sorry.
said that the four brothers were part of Kohlberger's family tree.
Yeah.
Now that's an
Very far
important
out.
statement. That's very important that he made that statement because it had nothing to do with the FBI at that point. Here's what happened, just so you guys know. They got to that point where they could no longer, from Othram or for a private lab, go any further with this because of the guidelines. Now, FBI stepped in and took everything and did what they weren't supposed to do. But remember what they said.
Yeah.
Don't mention this. It's a tip.
Don't
And
use
who
it.
fucked that up?
you can't use it.
Who
You
fucked
can't
that
use
up?
it.
Oh, wait, right. And who fucked that up was the Moscow Police Department and the Idaho State Police used it. And
Yeah.
Syra was alluding to that last night without making it that simple to understand. They should never have used publicly. They should never have disclosed in any of their documents that the FBI did that. So
That
the
is
FBI
right.
is a big problem here, no doubt. But they did the best they could and they tried to play it down low, but they were dealing with Keystone cops that didn't know how to fucking do paperwork.
You are
So
you are
we're
correct.
supposed to be okay with the FBI.
No.
No.
Well, okay then.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not
what
okay
they
with that.
What they basically did was the FBI stepped up and tried to give MPD a hand because they're fucking incompetent idiots, and said, "Don't do this. Here's some help. We're gonna help you out here," and in turn threw them under the fucking bus.
Kind of like me
At the end of it, is
You're
what
in
they
school
did.
with me, Robin, and I'm sharing the answers with you. And
Right.
you're in the bottom of the page writing down, telling the teacher, I helped you with answer 8, 14, 27, 48. That wasn't the FBI's fault that these people, Keystone Cop did that. Now, what the FBI did is inherently hugely wrong.
Yes.
But if we didn't know about that, you understand? That's what the FBI was doing, a download tip. We know it's Kohlberger. And what do they do?
Well,
They use
here's
it to
what I
get
say to
warrants.
that. I've never
me?
cheated on a test, and if it was me, I would have done my own legwork and not
Yeah,
relied
yeah.
on somebody else who was not involved in the situation, because it would have been my town. It would have
Yeah.
been on my head.
That's why Othram didn't go off the boards into the areas that the FBI went, because Othram
Right.
knew they could lose all of their money and all of their funding and all of their agreements. So Othram avoided the problem by giving it to the FBI. The FBI then gave it back because they carried the four brothers through. You understand? Nobody was supposed to know that. Is that wrong? That's so wrong. It's not even funny.
Yep.
But then they made it worse. They used it in their investigative work. They used it to get warrants. They used it to arrest
Right.
the guy. And
'Cause they
that's
didn't do
why
their own
Syra is telling us that this case is probably not done. You're going to hear from it because everything the police
Oh
did
yeah.
is corrupt.
And he did. Thank you for bringing that up, Sarge. Real quick, just to segue real fast, if that's okay. I don't know if you guys caught this that watched this interview. I think Cy knows because he is so close to the defense team. I think him and Ann are fairly close the way he talked about her. I think he knows
An
that there
appeal's
is
coming.
it is coming. I think without a doubt because he said, and he
They
made a
will
point.
get another bite at. They will get another bite at this apple. That's what he,
He said that,
multiple
yeah.
times.
Yes, he did. And then he stood up. He said he made a point to recognize when Ann stood up and said, Your Honor, I cannot defend my client without this continuance. That right there in itself is ineffective assistance to counsel.
Right. That was the
And there-
that was the base of ineffective.
Yes.
She literally said on the record, "I cannot adequately defend my client," and that is the exact basis that you need for for the ineffective assistance to counsel. So she gave him an out, and the question is, will he take it? And I think Syra knows he will because he says they will get another bite of this apple, and that's what fears him. And I want to point out one more thing. I know Robin's chomping at the bit, but I want to point out Sarge is right about this. Two things can be simultaneously correct. And I
Say that
realize
again. Say it again.
two things can be simultaneously
No.
correct.
Back up a sentence.
No, he
then
likes
Sarge is
hearing
right.
Yes, he
yeah.
likes hearing
Sarge,
that.
fuck off.
He loves
yeah,
hearing
you might have
that.
been right. Look, okay, fair enough. Look, here's the thing. It is true. It is true. I think that's true. The FBI could have done something wrong and used IGG to develop the tip. And they told MPD specifically, you can't use this other than a tip. Go do real police work. And they rushed it and they used the FBI's data like they were told not to. So I can make an argument for the FBI. We didn't do anything wrong. We just gave them a tip. We told them specifically, don't fucking use it. And then you tried to use it. So it's on you. We told you not to use it. But they shouldn't have done it in the first place.
You're right. And it does prove the type of police agency that fucking MPD truly is. They're a bunch of fucking clowns. You know, they were given a hand to do their jobs for them, and they turned around and threw the hand under the bus and ran it over multiple times instead of taking fucking accountability for what they couldn't do. Again, same with Mr. fucking prosecutor that is only taken 3 fucking cases to court again and got, you know, without using a plea deal. They couldn't do it. So they had to reach out to the FBI. And here we sit. A bunch of bullshit. MPD sucks. That's all there is to it.
I think much
I
worse
have-
than
I have a question for you, Lee. Yeah, I know the ineffective assistance of counsel, but does the fact that Hitler made her state at the sentencing hearing that she had enough time to do everything, does that somehow negate that because she said
I don't
in a
think it
court of
does.
law?
No,
don't
because she
think it
put it on
does.
record.
Yeah, she put it on record that she couldn't defend his client. Everyone with 2 cents of brain knows that she had to answer in the affirmative, or the
Oh, I
plea deal
know.
was off the table, right?
Yeah.
So I think they can make an argument. While she might have said, "I had plenty of time, Your Honor," when he asked her, she had to for her client's benefit. So if he can make a proper thing saying, "Hey, look, my attorney said on the record I can't defend my client. That's ineffective assistance. And the only reason I took the plea deal is because my attorney told me I have to answer in the affirmative or the plea deal's off," then he can make an argument that I had to say it. She told me I had to say I did it, and I did it alone, and we had plenty of time to do the review. That was required. She told me that was so he can say, "Look, I was misguided." Like, you know, I think he's got, and that's what Syra said. Syra said they will get another bite at this apple. They laid down the foundation for the argument, and that some of Hitler's rulings under appeal will not survive appeal.
Nope. And that I'm very curious to see if and when that goes down, which motions will not survive. I'm really curious to see that.
Highlight the indie zone again. She made a point in there that should be stated about the LGBT and how Hitler told them to come up with a different story, right?
Oh, good. Oh yeah, the lie. Yes.
Yeah, but Kathy made a comment that if you highlight it, be nice.
I already sent her the link.
I'm inviting her up.
Kathy's awesome too. I love both of you guys. Great combo.
There I am again.
Yeah, right. Hello,
Yeah,
Lee.
Kathy is awesome.
I honestly think that if you just listen to what Syra said, when he makes a couple of points, and I think these points are relevant to make Brian a suspect. A, all the phone activity and the activity that's behavioral for the residents changed when that car parked, and from then on, they weren't ever the same. Some of the phones that were in use no longer were in use. A car that did circle, he didn't get into the specifics of whether it was his car or not, but the car that circled, the white car, and the fact that car sped away at 421, they had Brian's name already, and so now you look at, you connect that, right? Then they got some half-ass. Maybe they made up the description of Kohlberger. This the problem isn't completely Syra. The problem is the way that they ran this case is just corrupt as can be, and I took issue with him saying that this isn't a setup, a conspiracy. But I think that he's wrong. I think the conspiracy isn't that they tried to finger the guy 9 months ago, knowing they were going to kill these girls. The conspiracy is every single piece of information they found, they fit it to Brian Kohlberger if they had to use a sledgehammer on it. That's the conspiracy.
Yeah.
That's the corrupt.
And that's a big part of it.
Right.
Yeah, we got a guest backstage, and I'll bring them up in just a second.
Yeah.
Commercial zone, rolling the dice, unless that's somebody we know.
Thank you, Witchy. Very much appreciated. Has anyone started to GoFundMe for Agent Balance? Yeah,
real quick.
Good one.
I wanted to point out there was something you just said, Sergeant. I was gonna respond on it. It had to do with the Brian Kohlberger thing. It repeatedly, Syra said he was the best candidate. And I think that's part of the thing. Once they've decided, look, we've got all these people to look at, who's the best candidate? Brian Kohlberger became the best candidate. And then they just fit everything to fit that story. And then they started to shoehorn in things and make it fit to build a story. Once you have a story in your mind of how it went down, you can fit the evidence to look any way you want. And I think it was telling to me that he kept saying Brian Kohlberger was the best candidate for this murder.
And I said that in the beginning, 3.5 years ago. That
He
the
did.
best suspect that they could have come up with. Because, and I used to say, instead of bad luck, should be named Kohlberger. Right?
Yeah,
I don't know what term we use for bad luck, but I mean, there's a guy that's literally bad luck Brian. I mean,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
wrong place, wrong time.
Can
If he didn't do it, he's the worst
didn't do
lucky
it.
guy they've ever. Yeah.
Can I speak on something real quick that
No.
I feel poor Amanda?
No.
Not that she can't. Thank you.
kidding.
Is that Bianca? Yes, thank you, Bianca. Real quick, and it's only take a second because I know Amanda can handle herself by all means, but I want to back her up here because it's fact. It's been proven by somebody that works within DNA, and we've looked into it. You can absolutely create fucking DNA. End the
Yes.
story, no doubt.
You can.
You can. There is no two ways to it. So you're saying that you cannot create it. I'm sorry, but you're misinformed, and that is absolutely not true. I'm sorry. Anyway,
All right.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Real quick, let's bring up Commercial Zone. Does anybody know Commercial Zone and what we're in for
No.
right now? Is this a
No, I
completely
have no
random?
idea
Okay.
who that is.
Just
So
don't show us
we will-
any porn.
Don't show us any porn. We've been hit by that once before.
Show your
Be
face and not your
respectful.
waist.
We will be respectful, but we will return in the same vein. Actually, we'll probably be better than whatever we get. Let's bring you up. Let's see what happens. Rolling the dice. What's up,
Hi,
Commercial Zone?
everybody. I'm incognito today. It's
I
Kathy.
thought it was you.
Kathy.
We just told you to join us, and I was like, I
Well,
bet you it's
I
Kathy.
wasn't the only one because who was that lovely woman's face that you had, Lee, on your avatar? Was that Amanda? She looked
That was
very
Robin.
beautiful.
That was
I
Robin, and
know.
I don't know why that happens. We both share a login, and sometimes our pictures change, and I don't know.
It's definitely a good thing for you, though. It makes you a little prettier, Lee.
Yeah, it makes
So,
it a little prettier. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fair.
Welcome, Kathy. Good to see you
Thank you,
tonight.
Dago. We were speaking, were we not, earlier on your
Yes.
very helpful show. It wasn't
you.
just that Mr. Ray indicated that possibly an appeal was coming, that possibly the world had not heard the last of Mr. Koberg. He used 3 magic words, Dago. Would you like to share what they were?
Ineffective assistance of counsel.
That's one.
Oh,
What
no.
about
I'm
Miss-
sorry. The Garza. Garza B. Yeah. Is that the one you're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about?
definitely Garza. Miscarriage of justice.
Miscarriage
He
of justice.
threw in
There
the
you go.
Hunter language.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Threw in the Hunter language. That gives me more thought here, Lee. And I agree. I think he's very close to Taylor, unlike Turvey,
I agree.
who's arm's length. So I'm wondering, what do you all think? Robin, Lee, Sarge, Dago, do you think he's, just puffing things, or does he really know that there's post-conviction relief coming?
I think he knows. I think he
I
knows.
do.
Yeah.
I
think
feel
he knows.
like he knows post-conviction. He made it pretty clear that they will. Not, I think they will. They will get another bite at this apple. So I think he knows that they're filing it, and he
Well-
even told us what the grounds was going to be for it.
Did you watch his body language, Kathy, when he was explaining it? He got, in my opinion, he seemed to get excited when he brought that up. And the Garza came up, and I was right there with that. I got excited as well. I think that means he knows. I agree. He's very close to Ann. I think he absolutely knows it's coming. So,
Well, another point that I'd like to share, please, is that Ann Taylor has said nothing in a year except to rip Turvey. When
Yeah.
Turvey was saying basically the Koberger got a raw deal. Where's her equal ripping of Syra,
That's what
Not
I'd like
there.
to know.
Koberger's alibi, plus Mr. Koberger's
yep.
CSLI expert? It's not just he was an expert, he was his alibi. That's
Right.
what that hearing back in Latah County with Judge
Yep.
Judge, that was about the alibi defense.
Yes.
There's-
He wrote the alibi.
February, she files documents March 17th. I'm
Can I-
sorry. Syra
I
is
just-
going to get up and testify to the jury on Mr. Koberger's alibi,
But-
but it couldn't be him because
Go,
he was
Sarge,
nowhere
yeah.
near Moscow, right?
Kathy,
So
I'm
what
not
is
sure
it,
that that would
Syra?
be his
Is he guilty
testimony.
or is he not guilty? Which one
I
is
don't
it?
think there was going to be Syra's testimony in those plain words. I think what Syra was going to testify to is that what they've outlined for the movement of that phone can't be possible. And he would show
Yeah.
why it can't be possible without identifying a location for Brian. I think that's probably as deep as he would have went, and to provide an alibi defense to show factually that these areas of movement are completely inaccurate.
That's
Therefore,
true. No, he was. The notice of alibi said Syra will
Yeah.
provide partial corroboration. There was
That's
a big
okay.
hearing in Latah County. He gets up
Yeah.
on the stand. 2 days later, he goes to CrimeCon. He's ripping all podcasters apart. What's he do? He goes on Lana's show with his wife. He's on Custody Queens yesterday. He had his own podcast. What are you doing? Ripping people that are giving independent opinions here. They're not bought and sold by the mainstream. That's another thing that irritated me about him.
Right, but to stay on the idea of an alibi, I don't think his alibi support would have been the fact that Brian was here or there. So I think it was going to be more directed towards the fact that the data that they provided to the court is wrong. And here's where it's wrong. And that would be where he left it. I don't think he was going to say he was in Walway Park or he was in Jerusalem.
That's what the alibi defense said. That's what Ann Taylor signed her name to it. 2023 and 2020. I mean, for 2 years. Hitler threw it out. I said, what the heck is he doing?
I started the show.
Defense?
I started the show by reading. Yeah, sorry. I know we're kind of talking over each other. I started the show by reading where Ann Taylor said Syra is going to testify Brian Kohberger's car was south and west towards Walway Park that night. But somehow last night, Syra changed it and said, no, Brian Kohberger never went south. It's a different car you see going south. He never went east on 270. Not only did he not go east on 270, he didn't go west either. He went north. That was the shocker, because according to the document Ann Taylor filed, Syra was going to testify Brian Kohberger did go south and west towards Walway Park that night. That's what she put in the document, saying Syra was going to testify for the defense on. And then now all of a sudden last night, Syra says Brian Kohberger never went south. He went north. When the fuck did that change? And so this is the part that I'm stuck with, and I need to get your guys' opinion because I'm really confused. Let me finish this.
The car that they tracked went south to Walway Park, maybe what he was going to testify to. The people that they were tracking that wasn't Brian went that way. I think people are misunderstanding what Syra is. Syra has convinced himself that he knows the path Kohberger took. Okay? And what they're arguing, what he would have said is the car they're attributing to being Brian Kohberger went south to Walway Park, and here's how I can show that. I don't think he was going to come out and say unequivocally, I know Brian Kohberger was in Walway Park. That's where I think we're having a little difference of opinion here.
What we're having a difference of opinion, Sarge, is that there was an alibi defense that was raised. And this is when a year and a half ago, I ripped Syra and I took a heck of a lot of beating, because this is when he was Saint Syra. And I said, what are they doing raising this alibi defense? It's never going to pass muster. It doesn't fit the statute. And now you've said that Mr. Kohberger's out driving around. It was a disastrous move. And it is next to her saying, oh, we got all the discovery. Yes, Judge Hippler. That now has become my number one question about this case. Lee, I don't understand this case. I understand it less today than I did 4 years ago.
Syra confused the shit out of me. And this is the other question I want to ask, particularly you, Kathy, and Sarge, is this. And Dago, because I haven't heard Dago's opinion on either. This is the part that confuses me. You all have said, I think, agreed, that you think Syra is pretty close to Ann Taylor and that he knows Ann Taylor well. So he also seemed to hint, correct if I'm wrong, that Ann Taylor even thinks Brian Kohberger is guilty. But Ann Taylor did the best she could and she got death penalty removed for him. So why the fuck, if he believes that Ann Taylor and him both think Brian Kohberger is guilty, are they fighting so hard to win this appeal and have another bite at the apple and have them retry this case when they all think they got the right guy?
To make sure he gets a fair trial, to make sure he gets a fair shake, to make sure that our Constitution isn't used for fucking toilet paper anymore. Because that's why I think we all see it the way we do. Because that's the problem.
And that's what I'm asking. Are you telling me, and I'm not firing back at you, I'm asking, are you telling me that you think that Ann Taylor and Syra care more about the judicial system and doing it right, that they're willing to let a murderer that they believe killed somebody go free just so they can make a point that we have to do it right? Do these people believe in the Constitution and the legal system so much that they fundamentally believe that Brian Kohberger is guilty, but they're going to go ahead and allow and work towards getting him off on it just to make a point about the broken judicial system? Is that what you're saying?
No, because I think that in some aspect that it's very, very likely that Ann does believe that he's innocent. Okay.
You said so. Dago, you played it on your show today.
Yes.
She stood up there, mask off. Defense attorneys do not say their clients are innocent.
No.
They say that the evidence is not at the standard it needs to be beyond a reasonable doubt. They stood. That's why that plea deal came out of nowhere. What are you doing saying he's innocent, fighting for a
Exactly.
year? Is this about fees? Are you billing? Is that why you're doing this? Their obligation, Lee, was to Mr. Koberger. What is this about? Oh, I'm coming in here because I want to teach. That's not your role. Nobody would know who the heck you were if it wasn't Frido versus Koberger.
That's right.
So I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask us.
Paying for him.
I'm going to ask a super asshole question, and this is. I even feel bad asking this question. A F ton of money flew into the Washington or to Idaho to fight this. The prosecution and the defense got fuck ton of money. They made a ton of money fighting this case.
Right.
Is any part of this motivated by keeping this in the court system for more money and more money and more money? Because everyone's getting filthy rich off this case. Is there any part of this that's all about the money?
I agree.
I think so.
Everything
I know
is
many attorneys, there's billing. I realize that she's the head of her own firm, but she's not a public defender anymore. She's got a light she's got to pay for. She's got staff she's got to pay for. She's got bills she's got to cover. And sometimes attorneys will keep a case going a little bit more until they get to a certain part and then agree, okay, let's get into a settlement, and civil as well as criminal. So I think you raised a good point there.
I
Lee.
agree.
Money played a role here.
Yep.
Why is she fighting so hard to keep her bills out of? The case is over a year.
Exactly. Thank you.
What are you fighting hard for? Can I go under seal when my tax bill comes? Because we everybody who lives in the United States, because the feds were involved, you paid for that case.
Yep.
For 4 years, you paid for that case. Those federal agents didn't work for free.
No.
And so we can't
I'd
see
like to
what got
interject
paid
this.
here.
Yeah, go ahead.
On Lee's
Sarge,
question, I want to make this point because I think this is probably very more relevant than that. Syra said it. The first time he worked with the defense. Why? Because he knew what happened there was wrong.
Yeah.
Not because he believed in the kid's innocence, but because he knew that the system they were using, the interpretations they were making were completely off the rails. He knew that because they used off the rail information, that every warrant ever applied for was fruit from the poisonous tree. And remember, is a defense attorney. It's not her job to concern herself with guilt or innocence. It's her job to make sure that the proceedings that are used against her client are done according to the rules and standards of basic law. Her interest and his interest, they come together. It doesn't matter whether Brian did this or not. The point of the matter is, from the original probable cause affidavit forward, they lied to get that affidavit, so everything after the affidavit, no matter what it is fruit from the poison tree. That's their motivation, from what I can see.
It's
got nothing to do with money. It's got nothing to do with I believe he's innocent. It's got nothing to do with any of that.
Sarge, I love when you called the Moscow Police Department the Keystone Cops. I laughed the first time you said it 4 years ago. I laughed when you said it today. But for me, Syra, a part of him getting involved in this case pro bono is because we would not know his name without this case.
Good point, Kathy.
He knew it was going to open up doors for him. Everybody watched him. Millions of people watched him when he testified.
What's wrong with
did
that?
anybody know who Syra was? I sure
What's
did.
wrong with that, though? What's wrong with that? I mean,
Nothing, but I
his
think
reasoning
there was
is sound, though. If he was making an argument the police violated the guy's rights and there's no proof of that, then I'd say he's a true scumbag. But the bottom line is, I saw it, and very few people saw it. The probable cause affidavit was trash. That was the most disrespectful thing I'd ever seen in my life used against an American citizen.
Yeah.
And here we are, almost 3+ years later, and finally somebody from within the case is confirming, in fact, that everything was fruit from the poison tree. And nobody would admit it. They could have corrected it. He told you that. A week after they wrote the warrant wrong, they could have went to the court and reapplied for a warrant for the right information. They ignored it over and over and over again. So, on just those terms alone, I think Ann and him have a vested interest.
And I just want a real quick comment so I can take this off screen. The reason I pinned the pro bono thing, and I don't think Jesse Lynn is saying this, but I want to make sure nobody else gets this wrong. Pro bono gives you the idea that they're doing it for free. Ann Taylor didn't do this for free. Don't make any don't get twisted. Pro bono means Ann Taylor's doing this for free. She got a crap ton of money out of it. The state, the taxpayers paid that bill, not Brian Koberger. That's what pro bono means. Brian Koberger didn't have to hire her. The state footed the bill. The taxpayers footed the bill. So I just want to make sure we're clear. Pro bono doesn't mean Ann Taylor did it on the goodness of her own heart and didn't get paid anything.
It was the first thing out of her mouth after change of venue. Don't you remember? She stands up and says, "Oh, Judge Hippler, we're not getting paid here."
Right.
And they had that secret meeting, one of others, and they got with the money judge. And again, why won't she show what her bills are? Why is she fighting so hard?
Yes.
Good question. And at some point, I do believe what Jesse's probably talking about is that she didn't get paid for a little while. And that's probably what
Yeah.
she meant by that, because it took her a while to catch up with that. But that's a
Sure.
great point, Kathy. Why won't she show her bills? Why is that such a big point of contention? I would like to know that myself. Where is all of this money? Where did it go? That's a whole other conversation. But I agree with that.
Paid for her work. I don't really have a problem with people doing.
No. She should get paid. That's not the problem. I'm just answering what that statement was. That's all.
I don't see that as I don't always see it as a valid way. Look, a lot of people on the internet make money off of Brian Kohlberger, right? And I personally don't.
Right.
That doesn't. I don't begrudge anybody from making money doing what they're doing, as long as
right.
You guys aren't out here lying. That's why I associate with the groups I associate. You're not out here trying to sensationalize or inventing stories. You're actually finding fake stories and crushing. So there is a upside to everything we do here, but
of course,
I don't really see the issue of how much Ann made or how much Syra made, or that he's going to become more popular and make more money. In this case, I don't know how much more popular he's going to get with police departments, and the fact that he's pointing out just how bad of a job these people did.
That's why I think, Sarge, that's why he's kind of teetering, okay, saying one thing and then going back to the other side of it, because he's afraid, again, this right here, okay, he's trying to sell this program to law enforcement. And if you come out here and you call them all idiots and say they do a bad job, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So I agree. That's why he's kind of doing the CYA point of view on this, and that's what I think it is. That's the only thing that makes any sense as to how he kind of rolled upside down on this, unless there's something else going on that we don't know about. But that's what I think the biggest part of it is.
And he's entitled to his opinion. Brian did it. He may even have information that'll come out sooner or later. Well, maybe it's just his opinion. But here's the thing. I think he said a lot of things I've been saying over and over again over the years, and I think that for suspects, yes, the boyfriend's an important suspect, but when you have all of those coincidences starting around 4 a.m., this is where I have a problem with it. It doesn't mean that car's involved, no more than when you argue there was no sign of a cleanup. Well, there was no investigation for that. And the other thing is, that really infuriated me is footprints. Footprints. You actually straddled some young woman and stabbed her 54 times, and all her blood was eviscerated from her body. And you mean to tell me that you got up and walked away from that? What about the trail from that? Forget the guy's shoes. What about all the blood you got to be covered in for doing what you did to those 4 young adults? Are you serious? What do you mean there's no blood trail? I know people could get killed with a knife and not leave a blood trail, but not that kind of killing. And so what about the drops that are going to come off your hair and your eyelashes? I mean, it's just insane that he would take that particular point of view. Yet when it comes to Brian's car, Brian cleaned. What?
Yeah,
there's proof that it wasn't clean, but there's no proof there was no cleaning at that house. He flipped. You see what I mean?
I agree with you.
Caught in the typical system of tunnel vision.
Anyway, well, again,
I think it is tunnel vision. I
I want to know who's going to hire him. If he's going to turn around and turn on his clients. All right. He was hired to be a defense expert. He was not hired to not be a defense expert. That's what if he felt that Kohlberger was guilty, he should have resigned from the case.
Right.
He continued to stay on the case. He was prepared to go to trial if Hitler would have allowed him to, because Hitler's the gatekeeper, and there was no love lost between him and Judge Hitler. We know that from the conspiracy theory blow up. I mean, I have a real issue with you agreeing to take on a client who is on his death penalty case, and then you come out for whatever reason. And I think, Dago, you hold up that book again. What's that book cost? $100? Who is that?
$95.
Law enforcement? What is this? You get hired to help a defendant, and then you turn on him at the end of the case and go out and say, what if Mr. Kohlberger is going to get this appeal and he gets a new trial? They're going to know that Syra, his expert witness and alibi, thinks he's guilty.
Yeah.
Kohlberger should sue him.
I mean, I feel like that is a big conflict of interest. I fully agree with that, Kathy. I mean, if you realize that you're somebody on the team that's working to defend you, in the back pocket is like, no, I know he did it. I'm 100% guilty on this, so on and so forth. I think I'd be uncomfortable. as the defendant, I'd be highly uncomfortable. So I agree with that. I fully do.
Maybe that's why he pled guilty. He saw people on his own team were going against him. I mean, we don't know.
It could
Real
be.
quick, I'm just going to make I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but Baby makes this comment. It was funny because I want to explain what I think she says. I'm sorry, but if you're hired to my team and you're using we for the opposition, it's shady as fuck. What she's talking about is Syra was hired or working for the defense, and yet constantly said things like, we in law enforcement think this, and we in law enforcement do this. So when he's siding himself with the side of law enforcement while she's trying to defend against what law enforcement did, it is shady as fuck. I agree with that.
100%, baby. You got that right.
But there is something to be said about a guy that's willing to come out and make the statements against the prosecution that he made, which are factual based. They're not. It's not like he's pointing something out none of us ever considered. We're talking about it up the whole time. So let's just, there's so many competing interests in every human's life that sometimes the answers may not be what we like, but it's just the way the world works. The guy thinks he did it, but on the other hand, he also knows in the manner to which he was forced to plead guilty was completely fucking inappropriate and illegal with it. And he's willing to stand up for the system that's there to protect an American citizen. So on that could be enough for him.
Yeah.
We don't gotta like it.
Right. And it might, I hate to say it, but it might speak a little bit to his integrity that he might think Kohberger is guilty, but he's still willing to call a wrong when he sees it. And it's not a popular opinion. And he's like, look, I know I'm going to get crucified for saying this. And my law enforcement friends, my entire career is at risk for doing this, but this was bullshit. And I'm going to call it like it is. And so it could speak to his integrity, right? It's like, I can lose business because of this. Like you said, who's going to hire me after I crucify the police on this case? So maybe that says that he's a man of integrity and is like, I'm just going to call it like it is, even if it's going to cost me financially. I don't know.
I wouldn't call me a man of integrity.
Lee, then why didn't he quit the case? Why did he remain on the case? Why was he intending to go to trial? I called him arrogant. I called him, I was very concerned about when I saw that alibi defense a year and a half ago. And I said, geez, was I a little too harsh on him? No, I was not. And what I saw yesterday is a disgrace. If you felt he was guilty, you should have quit the case. You shouldn't have agreed to be his alibi defense and go to trial. Why? Because you want the publicity? I have a real issue with that. The Constitution of this country means a lot to me.
Let me ask you this, though. Let me ask you this, Kathy. Is it possible that early when he was agreeing to come on for the defense, he had questions about Kohberger's guilt? And so he came on and he's like, hey, look, I see this looks like bullshit. He may not be guilty because this is bullshit. And so maybe he started out saying, hey, I can tell you that's bullshit. And then over time, he saw all the evidence and became convinced, well, shit, they did get the right guy, but that doesn't make what they did right. So could that explain? But you're right. Then the question is, well, why not just drop and say, you know what, I'm not going to be a defense witness because I now see that they, like, I don't know. It leaves a lot of questions. Did he initially start out believing Kohberger could have been potentially not guilty?
Here's what I think he should have quit the minute he felt he could not defend this guy because he was going to be willing to get on that stand and be his alibi defense. If Hitler didn't get mad at him, I mean, he seems to think he's an expert on all things. He's a psychologist now. He's getting into DM's head. He reminds me, like when Sarge was talking about the PCA. Oh, we got the other one, Payne, over here, being an expert on dog barks. Stay in your own lane, buddy. He was saying, oh, this is exculpatory. That's exculpatory. You're not the judge. That, as much as we don't like Hitler, and I think he made some good rulings, including throwing out that alibi defense. Hitler was the trier of the law. I think that's what irritated him and got him to be called a conspiracy theorist. And now what? He's afraid to go back to Idaho because he's afraid of being arrested.
Yeah. That comment was very. If he comes up against Hitler, Hitler's going to have him arrested. And that's why he's not going to be testifying at anything involving Kohberger.
Robin, why do you think he said
Why
that?
would he
That's
be
on my
arrested?
mind. Why did he say that?
Why would he be
Well,
arrested?
maybe he's
Right.
had some private dealing, or maybe there's been some words there, and Hitler just laid it out for him, or whatever. But what really? Oh my God! One thing that just crossed my mind just as we're talking is what? Here we go. Speculation. What if Syra put that affidavit out there because something told him he was not going to end up testifying if there was ever an appeal, but yet he was still trying to call out the prosecution?
I don't know. To be frank, that's the thing. Syra's reversal of kind of the way he is confusing the shit out of me.
understand.
A lot of what he said confused the shit out of me. And by the way, Dago might have some comments. I was going to ask Dago what his thoughts were, and we've talked a lot about this case. I have a thought about what I call the straw man argument. I'll get back to that. But first, Dago, is there any comment? I mean, before this goes too long and you didn't get to say some of your pieces, is there a piece about the interview that you wanted to talk about as a group in particular?
Well, I think we touched on one of the main things I wanted to talk about was about the appeal. But there is something that was brought up at the end that I would like to point out that I think, I guess, depending how you take it, and you guys know that I'm all about Brian being innocent, okay? And I have been for quite a long time now. But there's something that was brought up that kind of unnerved me a little bit, okay? He, at the towards the end of the interview, he said, there's some things that have not been released to the public that he knows about, that he believes that if people were to see these things, that it would absolutely change our minds. And it immediately took me to, the way he explained it, it immediately took me to when they motioned and pushed hardcore to steal Brian's psychological evaluations. I wondered if that was in reference to what he was speaking on. Is there something with Brian's mental health that was brought to the table via evaluations that may have scared some people into, something that would make us all look at Brian and go, holy shit, he's a monster. And that is why they sealed it. The defense sealed that because initially I thought his mental health may have helped him through this. And they really pushed fast and hard to seal all that shit. So, and I don't know, if there was, because I believe that the prosecution would have taken advantage of that fully, okay, and used that against him. And I just wondered.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Dago. I'm like thinking as you're speaking, because
Right.
What was one of the in limine motions? Do not refer to him as a psychopath or
Yes.
a sociopath
Yes.
at
Yeah, and
trial. Is that what you're
it-
referring to?
Yes, ma'am. And then they sealed everything that they did with the eval. And then they say they brought Herwood in to cover all this and that. And they were like hardcore pressed about that. So I'm wondering, is there something from Brian's past that we don't know about? Okay. And it's like I said, it's just a thought. I'm not saying it's what it is, but it just made me start to wonder, were they, and they're hiding this from the public, obviously. And they didn't want the prosecution to have the ability to pull this out and use it against him because it probably would have been something pretty in depth that very possibly would have made them, well, the way he put it was it would make the defense it would be very hard for the defense to fight this, basically. So,
Well, yeah. Hitler granted that in limine motion.
He did.
And you can't. They can't refer. So why would she say, "Oh, you can't refer to him as a psychopath or a sociopath"? I immediately thought it was because of what was going on out in mainstream media. But maybe there's some other diagnosis. I mean, I don't know anything. Everything's
Right.
under
And
seal. I've been complaining about this for years.
No,
Is
you're
that
right.
What you're saying?
That's what I kind of wondered. I'm not saying I believe that, and I don't believe, I've even had people on my panel that were like, yeah, but what would make us change our mind? Like I said, we don't know you guys. That's the problem. It could be something violent or sexual or anything.
If you read my history, you wouldn't even know it was me. You'd be stunned.
You
know parts of it. You guys don't know my whole history. I've shared
Right.
parts of it. My point is that if my entire history was laid bare, right, you would then question. Like I'm a man of integrity, fair and honest
Of
for
course.
the last 30 years, but I'm 60 years old. So there's 30 years you don't know about. Okay.
Right.
And if you were to lay that bare, then you would say, take it. And so I understand what you're saying, Dago. I can relate to
Right,
that. That in
right.
fact, that would give the jury a perspective of me that was true,
Yes.
but not consistent for the last 30. In other words, I overcame that, right?
No, of course.
And now Brian's still a young man. He hasn't been on Earth 60 years. He doesn't have that fortune to overcome some of the stuff like I have.
Right.
So if you used it against me at 30 years old, it would have been true.
That's
Right.
what my point is. Is
I
something
agree
that could
with
have
you
gone
on
on during his
Very
childhood.
smart.
Yeah,
Very
and think about how prosecutions work, folks. That anything, it could have been something that's sexual in nature, violent, and I'm not saying it happened, and that's what it was, but maybe he killed small animals or something when he was younger, or did certain things that just it would have been a hell of a tool for the prosecution, is all I'm saying. For him to make the statement the way he did, it just took my mind off right away, and I went, shit. I wonder, you know what I mean?
Right, because we were all saying, hey, if there was a ton of DNA there, as he claimed, if there was a photograph of Koberger going in and out of the house, if they had video of the crimes and you see Koberger, Bill Thompson would have shown off about that years ago. Okay.
Right.
It would have been on Dateline NBC. Yeah.
It would have gone to Dateline. But what Dago's just saying, I think deserves a little bit more investigation, Dago. Thank you for raising that.
Absolutely.
Hey,
I want to
do me a favor and tell us what year it is.
Do what?
Kathy, tell us what year it is.
You're asking Kathy?
Yeah. What year is it, Kathy?
I think it's 2026, Sergeant.
That makes it sounds like an AI, doesn't it? 2020.
I always like that she does that too. I love that.
I started out with my podcast. My first people that followed me were from Japan, and they're lady, you got to slow down, a little bit. We don't understand you about Sensei Koberger. They totally believed in his innocence. Me, I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. I can't vouch for anyone. But then I started to slow down. And so, sorry if I sound like AI.
I want to ask a question that I'm completely alone on. Like, I don't think anybody thinks this way but me, because every time I bring it up, they're like, "Oh, DA, it's not exactly what they were talking about." But I want to ask you. Syra was asked about a question about Brian Koberger's trial, and if it had gone to trial, the difference between the penalty phase and the guilt phase. And what he said was something along the lines of, during the guilt phase, there's a certain amount of evidence that's allowed to get in. But during the penalty phase, when they have to decide, is death penalty what's worthy here in this situation, was the crimes that he committed. If they find him guilty in the guilt phase, then it moves to a penalty phase. And the next job is what he did, he was found guilty of, worthy of death because it's so heinous. And he said, Syra, that during that phase, new information, additional evidence that wouldn't be allowed in during the guilt phase would be allowed to be shown to the jury during the penalty phase. I call that mitigating factors. Things that make you go, okay, yeah, he did it, but now you have to understand why he did it. And I know I'm alone on this case, but is there a possibility in your mind at all that if Brian Koberger did it, there's a part of the story we don't know? Because Syra says we know his motive. The prosecution has never said they know his motive.
What motive?
The prosecution has said it, they never, but he said we know his motive, his opportunity, and his patterns, all of which the prosecution never said. So if gone to trial and Koberger was found guilty, would new things about his motive have been brought in during the penalty phase that would have changed all our opinions about why the murders happened?
I think what Dago was saying is the exact point Syra was making without making. I think Dago hit it right on the nail on the hammer on the nail. That part that we're not allowed to see about Koberger, when used within the penalty phase, would have been exposed to the jury, and that probably would have led them to then conclude that he not only did it, this is why he did it, and he's a sick bastard shooter.
Exactly. Yeah. And I know any prosecution would have used that. You know that, Sarge.
So stop. This is and I'm just going to fire back because I'm going to be brief because I'm all alone. Everybody assumes that what would have been damaging is why he did it, because he's a sick bastard. What if it was the opposite? What if the extortion case out of Pennsylvania that they talked about and it was hidden early, the cast report from the FBI said there's an extortion case associated with this out of Pennsylvania? What if the girls caught Brian Koberger or whatever masturbating on camera and said, you owe us $20,000 or we're going to show your mom the picture of you masturbating, a video of you masturbating? And that has happened to people I know. I've seen people caught by that scam. If the jury had seen that the girls or anyone in that house was extorting Brian Koberger for some embarrassing thing, would it change their mind about what he did at all?
I think you're mistaken that wouldn't have been used in the prosecution's case. If there's evidence of that,
would have been on the guilt page.
It would have been even before the guilt. That would have been during the trial. A motive. They had no motive. They have no connection. I don't think that's even plausible. In all fairness, I mean,
Lee has brought up an equally important question, going to mitigating. Dago's more aggravating, because now it's no longer, I hate when they call it the guilt phase. It's the case in chief. It's where the prosecution has to show beyond a reasonable doubt that this person and this person alone sitting at this table in front of you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, who committed these heinous crimes. Once you're in the sentencing phase, part 2, that's all off the table. Now, as prosecution, I'm going to introduce as much aggravating factors so that jury comes back with the DP. But as Lee's saying, on the defense side, you're going to be bringing in, and then maybe that would be interesting. I remember hearing rumors like that, Lee, and you've talked about that. What if this was some type of an extortion? What if he found himself in an embarrassing, humiliating situation with no way out, and that was being used against him?
I don't think.
Sorry, and the nuance of that is the nuance of that is this: you wouldn't, if you're a defense attorney, want people to hear about he was extorted over some embarrassing moment, because that would suggest that he's guilty. So you would want to save that for the mitigating phase. You'd prove he did it first. Prove he did it. But if you do prove that he did it, now you have to hear why he did it. But I don't know that the defense would want to interject the motive for the murder in the first part of the trial. Can you prove he did it first? And then if you do, then you have to talk about why.
Wouldn't that all listen, I think this is where this falls apart, in that when Thompson came forward and said they have no connection, electronic or otherwise,
right,
Brian to the victim, there's no connection, none.
Yeah.
So I think that eliminates any possibility of an extortion used anywhere in any of the process.
That's fair.
Because
what I would have thought too.
Right? Yeah. And I think that statement too shows, I think that the prosecution could have said we have connections, but because they did the case the way they did it, like I've said this for 3 years, there's only one way Brian Koberger couldn't have done it, and it was the case that was assembled by Moscow. Okay? There's a trillion other ways the kid could have done it.
I agree, Sarge, but I agree. So I want to say I agree. If they knew that the motive, and they had it tied to something out of Pennsylvania extortion thing, they probably would have brought it up. The part I can't shake is, why does this case have an extortion case? And the only reason I know it's out of Pennsylvania is because Christopher Wickham, when he wrote his book, said that it's an extortion case out of Pennsylvania. Is that can we really chalk that up as just a coincidence that the FBI tagged an extortion case out of Pennsylvania as part of this case?
Couldn't you look at Brian Koberger as somebody that brought someone to that property? Not going there himself to kill, but involved with somebody that had a bone to pick with these kids?
Yes.
Okay. Could that car's movements be consistent with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Could his DNA on that knife sheath, in fact, be his knife and his DNA sheath that was used by somebody else?
Yeah.
Sure.
Could the mitigating circumstance, the motive, was that somebody that was in Brian's car that Brian brought to the crime scene after he's been convicted of the crime?
Yeah.
Could that be brought into that end phase? Maybe, but I don't see how you could then go in a courtroom and say that there's no connection between Brian and the victim, right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Later that he was extorted. I think you can make the claim his involvement with the crime could also have been, but here's the other, see, you get into another problem where they claim he's the sole person. So I don't see how you can connect any kind of extortion to this case anywhere at all, ever.
Maybe the extortion was somebody else in the house. Why is Christopher Wickham going to bring up an extortion case out of Pennsylvania if there's no relevance? I know a lot of people have attacked Mr. Wickham. I saw his interview yesterday. They're going back 30, 40 years. I don't know much about Ruby. I got enough trying to figure out the Koberger case, okay? And for Christopher Wickham to bring that up, why would he bring it up? Just out of we're just going to,
I think, and by the way, I think
in Pennsylvania today. We're going to throw that in the book.
I think, to be fair, I think Christopher Wickham, unfortunately for him, fucked up, because nowhere in the paperwork does it say that extortion case is out of Pennsylvania. That was something that Christopher Wickham said. So, and Christopher Wickham clearly has seen documents that we haven't seen in the public. I really think that it was either he guessed or he saw it, but it's not public information that extortion case counted. I've looked. I tried to look it up in the documents. I said, where was it mentioned about the extortion? It doesn't say anything about it being out of Pennsylvania. But Christopher Wickham said it's out of Pennsylvania. So what does he know?
What about the talk about the grand jury out of Pennsylvania that got slipped in Latah County when they were talking about, there's a grand jury out of Pennsylvania.
Right.
What was that about?
What was it about? Right. What was it about? Do you have an idea?
So maybe I think Christopher Wickham maybe slipped. Just like I think that Payne may have slipped when he said the crimes ended at 4:25 with suspect vehicle 1 seen speeding out of the neighborhood at 4:20, that it was more than one person.
Right.
And when he said he saw suspect vehicle 1 parking in front of 1122, maybe there's another camera and he slipped there too.
Oh, there is. I absolutely, I'm telling you, and I FOIA'd this, or records requested this last week. There are at least 3 cameras that we have not seen footage from, at least 3, that I know were there at the beginning of the case when Rory went boots on the ground and walked through and pointed them out. We looked at them all. And I know they're there, and Steve Gonsalves has referenced them as well as Chris Whitcomb referencing them. But there's video out there that nobody's ever seen. And they deny that it exists, but I'm telling you, it's there. Without a doubt. So I believe that they have some other video out there. So I'm probably going to be denied
that
for
other
it.
video though has got it. Listen, if they've got it, I would suggest what Syra is telling us is they ignored it for a reason, because it didn't fit the narrative they built. That's what some of this information is going to lead to. It's going to lead to showing that what they proposed and the arguments they made, the motions they filed, and the warrants they applied for, the data used to get that is wrong. And that's why they don't want to admit to these other videos, or maybe even to this extortion case. So there may be that. It may be the whole timeline of one guy with no connection did this. They stuck to that, even though they had evidence to show otherwise. And that may be what Syra is alluding to when he says everything was done wrong to protect their. They stayed on a timeline with this, that, and the other. So this other stuff we won't know till later, but that may be.
And what you're saying, Sergeant Friday, is if they did hide some stuff that would not fit their timeline and their argument, that's exculpatory information. If they didn't provide,
it's worse than that. It's worse.
It's exculpatory.
It's worse because they didn't use it in their warrant applications. You see, that's what he said. Fruit from the poison tree. If I lie about where you are and I know it's not correct, I find for sure it's not correct, and I don't go back and correct it, then the information I gather from that warrant can't be used in court against me.
Wouldn't that be a Brady violation, perhaps?
Yeah. And this is what Syra was alluding to all night. So let's go with the idea that he's right, that there is information that shows that Brian did this. It was not using that information to protect their story that they had sold to all the news media and to the public. They kept it hidden because they knew if they brought it forward, every single thing they got, from the DNA to the car pictures to the phone, all would have been useless. You couldn't use it. That's the problem in this case. So that should give people a little bit more understanding. It's highly possible Brian Colbert did commit this crime. And when you listen to what Syra said, it to me, I'm glad I came in here tonight. You guys educated me, and I loved it. But it gives another synopsis. It really gives another way to look at this.
My biggest problem,
Sergeant Friday, can I ask you a question? If Syra is aware that there is truly exculpatory evidence, why isn't he all over Ann Taylor like Turvey was?
Not exculpatory, it's inculpatory evidence that they couldn't use because they'd already used the false information to get their warrants. You understand? The evidence that they're not showing shows his involvement. The evidence that they did provide, the evidence that they jammed in to make it look like he did it, was used to get warrants. You follow me? So that car going around 3 times may not, in fact, even have anything to do with Brian Kohlberger. But what's on the video, they could have a video of Brian walking in the front door for all we know. But because they didn't use that or didn't have that, and they ran to the lies, now if they go and try to include that, that means all the warrants that they just got against him to get his DNA, to search his
So-
car, to arrest
So
him.
you're breaking my mind because again, this is the problem I have. Syra multiple times said they already had Brian Kohberger. They knew who he was. They already had them. They didn't need to use the IGG, but they did it anyways, and they fucked up the case with that. If it is true what Syra said, they already had him. They already knew who he was. His DNA was at the scene, and they knew it. They had his name, the whole 9 yards. And I had somebody, by the way, tell me privately that they had his name on the day of the murders. They knew it was Brian Kohberger the day of the murder. Somebody told me that recently.
Lee,
and
then
they-
you know what that's who that's a big problem for?
Yeah,
A certain Detective Brett Payne. Because
Right.
did he or did he not get on the stand and say the first time?
Yeah.
he
They
is
never heard about him
the
until the
detective on the
19th.
case. He signed that affidavit on a probable cause under penalty of perjury, meaning
Robin,
every
check
word
back
was
that.
true. Under that's a felony. He said the first
Right.
time
So
that
I'll-
Kohberger's name came on the radar
Yeah.
over there at the
Remember
MPD
what
was
Steve G
December
said?
19th. We know that's not true. We know from the 5th, the documentation of the 5th from the Idaho State Police and the 2 law enforcement officials who called his car in.
So,
they
and
had
real
his, and
quick-
you're saying, Lee, they had his name possibly on the day of?
someone told me that, and I'll tell you where they got that from. Go ahead, Robin. What'd you got?
Real quick, Sarge, can you unmute? Can you check your system? You're giving off like hella noise, and it's
Yeah, a lot of static and a lot
people.
of,
Yeah, people are like getting a little crazy about it. So.
How about it now? Is it still doing it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like you're in
a
a
little bit.
windstorm or something.
Yeah, it's like a scratchy, like you got fabric rubbing across the microphone or something.
Bear,
That's
bear
kind of
with me. I'll reset my.
Okay. So real quick, the reason why I brought it up is because why, it begs the question, why, if they had him already, as Syra says, would they do something stupid and use IGG what they didn't have to and fuck up the case? That's the problem I have. According to Syra, they already knew and they already had Brian Kohberger. They didn't even need to use the IGG, but when they did, they fucked it up. Why? Why then would they do that if they already had him? That's the
Lee,
part Syra never explained.
Could we go back to your, your comment that somebody gave you a tip, all right, that they had his name the day of? Could that have possibly been from this camera that Dago believes at least 1 or 2 more cameras, and that I'm getting from the PCA, because there's no possible way Payne could have seen SV1 park in front of 1122 or attempt to turn in the road. It could, and the FBI agent didn't touch that in his affidavit. That was Payne.
Right.
Could that have been it? Maybe from video.
I don't know. I'll tell you what was said to me because I haven't verified it. So I'll tell you what was said to me, and I don't have time to do it, and I don't know exactly what they're talking about. So I'll tell you what was said. It's not in any official document. You have to watch. What they said was you have to watch the recording of day one. In day one, they make it clear they had Brian Kohberger's name already. It wasn't recorded in the record. It's not an illegal document. You have to listen to the audio of day one. Now, I don't know what day one constitutes.
With
Day one that he
recording.
was arrested.
Body cams?
Right. That's the reason why I can't find it. Like they just told me, DA, it's right there. Day one, they admitted they knew Brian Kohberger's name. It's not in the records. It's on camera. You hear them say it, but I don't know where to look.
Let me piggyback that because we have, and I think I may have told you this, we have a source that we've had that told us quite a while back that is government attached, okay, that I will say I trust, that told us that it is believed that they knew Brian 3 days after the crime. November 16th, they had his name in their pocket. End of story. That came from a source very, 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 what I would say, highly related to the government, okay? So I gotta wonder. Was it the same day? Was it 3 days later? I mean,
right.
And I think I know what you're talking about, Lee. I think there's a body cam where I'm gonna go back through them and find it. And if I do, I'll share it with you.
Dago, which one, please?
There's 2 body cams where there was conversations at. There's one in the kitchen with Corbin Smith and
Warner.
No, not
or Linear.
Linear. Thank you, Kath. I forget his name all the time. And then there's another one where I think it's the same conversation that they had down at the intersection when the whole CI thing came up with Linear. It might have
That's
been
Linear again, and Snyder,
it
the canine.
may
cop.
be in one of those 2 it's a close-knit conversation between two officers at least. So I'm going to go back and look through those and see if I can find anything that relates to that.
And the only correction is the person who made the comment to me said it was in the courtroom that it was said, not a body-worn camera. They said, listen to the courtroom discussion. They mentioned Brian Koberger. And he didn't make it clear that they said it by name. What they said was they admitted they know who did it on day one.
Okay, so we're going to have to go back to
I got
Megan
you.
Marshall, maybe
Didn't ignore
first
me.
appearance after he got back from Pennsylvania, January 5th. And look at that.
Yeah.
And also, I am going to be looking at those body cams. Maybe this might make sense of it's a targeted attack 15 minutes after they get there.
Right.
Okay,
Good
Dago,
point.
could we
Good
ever make
point.
sense of that?
No, they shouldn't know that. There's no way they should know that minutes into being there.
No.
Very
My
good point.
biggest
Very good
thing-
point.
My biggest thing with this case is they have not shown us how it is possible for a man who has all the developmental things against him, like Brian Koberger, to do the amount of damage that was done to 4 healthy, active, athletic people in less than 20 minutes. Now, when they
I'm
can
right
show
with
me
you.
that, then we'll talk. But they have not shown me anything yet.
No, I agree, Robin. And how many times in that interview, Robin, did he say, I'm trying to think of his actual wording again, but he said, you don't understand, there is an outlandish amount of evidence or something into that realm, okay, that tells me he did it outside of these other issues. What is it? And when it's brought to the table and he's asked about it multiple times, he can't tell us.
Is it possible? I'm just going to throw this out. I hate to be the conspiracy theory guy. Is it possible that they knew who did it because it was something like drug related to a multi-jurisdictional task force, and they couldn't mention the details of how they knew what happened, and that's why they all know who did it on day one, but they can't say because it's covered under confidentiality agreement, and an investigation's been going on long going. So they could have known who did it from the very beginning, and just couldn't say because of the sensitivity of that investigation.
I
Lee,
absolutely
that's
believe
one
that.
of my
Sure.
theories.
Sure.
That's
Yeah,
that one
absolutely.
of somebody in that house
Absolutely.
was a CI.
Absolutely.
And, maybe got into a little bit of trouble. You know what these cops do. Oh, you help us out. You wear a wire. You telling your friends, and you
Yep.
won't get kicked out of school. Your future won't be. So
Right.
and that makes a
Right.
lot of sense because the year
Yes.
before, the MPD went to the city of Moscow and said, we need a canine unit. We need a drug sniffer. We need to train the cop. And we need $100,000 to deal with Moscow's growing rug problem. It makes a lot of sense why Snyder's running there from a rug call on Main Street at 11:30 without his car, without his body cam, without his dog, and why when he saw that baggie on the table, he didn't get the dog at that time to go through the house. And if anyone's going to know about a rug CI, like he whispered to Lanier, it would be Snyder because he's the canine cop. And then he's going around the neighborhood and he's trying to get people to open up to him, and he doesn't have the dog with him. That dog's beautiful. It's like a blonde Labrador. It might have calmed people down and gotten them to open up. Still, he didn't go get the dog. So I think, and that would make a lot of sense why you saw the likes of Homeland Security being involved. They did some of the interviews that we got off the ISP,
Right.
and the feds, as to the extent that they were. There's something that would make a lot of sense why this case is still under seal largely a year after the only person is in prison.
Let me reiterate something.
Yeah.
And again, it might have been boilerplate language, but I made a FOIA request, an actual FOIA request from the FBI about the identification of suspect vehicle 1 and who determined and how they determined the years and the make and model and when they revised it to a more broader date. And did they ever look into, and can you tell me about any records you have about the discussion of fog lights on that vehicle?
Right.
And the response from the FBI, which I have on my computer, is we have all the information that you've requested, but we cannot show it to you due to one of the potential following reasons. And they included confidential informant, top secret information, national security, all kinds of things were listed in the reasons why they can't tell me what they said. We've got the answer to what you asked for, but we cannot show it to you because of one of them. And it was just kind of blanket. One of the possible reasons is
Lee, you're opening up the cobwebs off my brain. Maybe that's why we've never seen the Koberger investigation video.
Right.
What might he have said? Usually cops, it's the first, they want to show off how they got the guy. They will release, if not the transcript, a portion of it or the tape itself. So let's see what EWU does. They want that interrogation video. And if
I'm
we
going to
can't
see if I
get the
can find that
interrogation
letter.
video, where's the audio?
Right.
I'm going to see if I can find that letter for you.
You know,
But go ahead, keep talking. I'm going to see if I can find
At
that.
the very beginning, there was a lot of talk about a camera placed in view to view that house.
Yeah.
They claimed that it was college kids doing it.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But that house was under surveillance by a camera. And then that went away. It never got talked about. Everybody said it was fake. Fake. There's no truth to it. But
Now, yeah, they
that's
hit
kind
it.
of interesting that came up so early in this process.
Party patrol. Oh,
And
Amanda
don't
just
forget-
made a real good comment right there.
Don't forget, Sarge. We do know, and it was clarified before by more than one person, that the task force was on boots on the ground, intermingled within the college, within the students, working a case that I have a very strong feeling is related to the big bust that happened in Washington with the Jesse James Bailey crew. Okay, so if that camera was blamed on whatever it was, the film school or whatever the hell was going on there, they could have used that as a cover to hide that that they had that house under surveillance. I'm just saying.
You know,
Well,
Amanda
right,
just made a
right.
really, really good point. You know, there's very few people who've looked at it's Canine Ragnar. Yes, I
Yeah.
have to admit. Amanda had just said that in her opinion, that she felt that Snyder the night before was on party patrol with the dog. Why would those cops just go out and look for alcohol? They're out there wanting to try to stop the rug prop. So the canine would have probably been on at least somewhere on patrol somewhere. And Amanda's saying that's maybe why. And we know that Snyder had an assignment at 11:30. I think Lana went over this recently.
Yes, she did.
Right? Those documents of what the calls were from the morning of the 13th, you can't get them thank goodness. A few of us did secure them, but it wasn't 11:30 rug call over on Main Street.
Yes.
With the only canine unit was Snyder and Ragnar. And then
there
you
were-
see Snyder running.
Okay,
Lee, I think
and,
you got something.
and
I'm
Lana
trying to
did-
find that letter for you. Yeah.
Lana pointed out that there wasn't just one 2-man crew out working that party patrol that night. There were two. And if there were two, I don't think we know who the secondary group was that was working and where they were. There you go, Kathy. That would
I
make
think
perfect
Amanda
sense.
came up with who it was. I would 100%, having looked at that docket to the
Yeah.
point where my eyes, I'm having a hard time seeing anymore. If
get
somebody
it.
else was going to be on scene, if I was a betting woman, which I'm not, but I would bet that it would be Snyder and Ragnar.
Of course. Of
And
course.
maybe
Why-
that's some
why
of the
not?
barking that we heard. No,
Oh, wow. I never
that's
thought
pure
of that.
speculation. Pure speculation.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with
Well,
that, but that's an
this is
interesting
a
point.
lot of speculation, but I suggest that, I might, talk about this much bigger than these 4 kids for this to have gone down. But it's also likely that whatever they may have been surveilling in that area, that he walked into an unknown situation. But here's where I draw the line on this a little bit. If you've got unequivocal evidence, regardless of how you got it as law enforcement, that you didn't sit down with the attorney and Brian Koberger and play it and say you could plead guilty and we'll lock you up for the rest of your life, or you could fight this in court and die. Why that wasn't done immediately is why I have a little bit of fishiness about this whole reason, because that's exactly what they would do. They
Yeah.
wouldn't sit back for 3 years or whatever and let law enforcement dig themselves a hole and lie and tell all these stories, and then act like now we can't even show the real truth. See, that's kind of where I draw the line, because if Brian's in jail, you got him under surveillance 24/7. There's no reason, if this is national security or to do with the drug enforcement, whatever it is,
Agreed.
He wasn't slapped in the back of the head with an immediate. It would put an end to all of them. There would have been no trial. There would have been a guy coming out and killed.
Hey, Sergeant Friday certainly makes sense why they're like working like the Dickens to keep all this information from the public. It makes no sense why that what is on that interrogation video.
Agreed.
Cops, first thing they want to show off how they got the guy. Oh, look at him. Here he comes in.
Right.
He thinks he's going to get one over on us, right? They have done nothing but hide that video. There's also an audio that the ISP guy took. Why can't the public see any of it? What's this about? Oh, it's in Pennsylvania. No, it's
missing.
It's not Fed. It belonged to the Pennsylvania State Police, and the other one was done by the ISP. Okay, stop lying. You sent them both out to Pennsylvania to interrogate him, right? And now they're trying to say in the EWU case, oh, it's another state. Who brought them in? You did.
Thank you.
You relied on their work.
Right,
you know,
I
just thought
if the government was in a position to pick up this information, got evidence.
It's doing it again, Sarge. We
yeah,
can't hear
it's
you.
doing it again.
We can't hear you for some reason. Are you outside, like running or something?
Yeah, picture me running around outside. Dago,
I know. I know. That's why I said it. Well, I do want to say real quick though, with what you were saying, Kathy, and then with what Lee had brought. Lee had filed to get the ABL records, okay?
Yes.
And
he's never gotten a response.
They've completely ignored it, okay, to the point where he's looking at like legal action to go back towards it. So I gotta wonder if that's why they're withholding the ABL records on this, because is there something on those videos or those cameras that would absolutely answer that question you were asking? I can absolutely believe it.
That's my theory. Doesn't mean I'm going to copy
Very good point.
the person that I've called arrogant for the past 2 years, Syra. My opinion means nothing. It's $5 at a Starbucks or whatever. But one of the working theories that I have had is that there was a CI in that house accidentally, for what it might not have even had any whatever. Somebody got mad, they went back, things got out of hand, whatever the case may be. Makes a heck of a lot of sense why the interrogation video you can't get, why Lee can't get what he's looking for with FOIA, why Hitler won't unseal the case, why Moscow is working like heck to keep those documents from EWU.
Yeah.
To the point where the chief of police is saying, we almost immediately cleared all of the inner circle people. But yet you got the ISP having Jack D as suspect number one from the end of November, beginning of December, all the way through June. Okay, if ISP doesn't know what they're doing, it's...
And they didn't
like,
fingerprint him
until
25.
Who's on second, Sarge Friday?
Yeah.
And I have, by the way, just because you mentioned it, Kathy, I submitted my first request for the AVL data along with confirmation. So maybe I asked for too much at one time, but I asked for the AVL data along with the master services confirmation of the master services agreement, which says that a special patrol will be provided by the Moscow Police Department for under that master service agreement between the University of Idaho. And then I asked for the AVL data that showed where your cops were and what the special patrol was that night. So maybe I overly reached. In May, they completely ignored it. Like a month and a half later, I wrote them a letter saying, the law says you have to respond to this. You've never even responded or acknowledged it. They ignored that. I just recently in the last week filed a third thing that said, please, I said, in light of your ongoing legal fight with EWU, I realize you may be thinking that my request was overly broad. So please tell me where you think that I've asked for too much and tell me how I can narrow this down. And they haven't responded to that either. So apparently if I don't word it exactly right, they just feel they can just ignore it entirely.
That's one of their defenses. They're saying that EWU's supposedly, hey, it looked very, very specific to me. They even threw in the 8-hour gap. I want to see what Judge Marshall's going to do about that. Judge Marshall, you weren't told in the PCA, Sergeant Friday's favorite document, that there was an 8-hour delay before the Moscow Police Department was called. EWU's throwing it right in their face for no reason, because when they wanted, they were asking for the 911 call. Why are they saying in there, 8-hour gap right next to it? Now, we got a hearing coming up on August 5th. Hopefully, you guys are going to be covering it. I am hopeful that issue comes up because I want to see how Marshall reacts to that.
Agreed. And I think, I'll be honest, guys, my ears went on end when I heard that Lee filed for that AVL stuff. I think there's really important information within those AVL documents, or yeah, whatever it is, the video. I think that would tell a lot more stuff than what they want us to know. And I think that's
Yeah.
exactly why they're completely ignoring Lee completely, because I think that is very prominent, folks. I really do.
Dago, what do you think might be in there? And we're just speculating. We're just having a cup of coffee.
It
here,
has,
giving
it would
opinions.
be dash cams, Kathy, of the officers. Well, we know one vehicle had no dash cam in it, but body cams and stuff like that of just about anything. So I think, go ahead.
Let me clarify what I think's in the AVL. This is a theory, but this is what I think the AVL is going to show, and what that master services agreement shows. There was an ongoing multi-jurisdictional drug task force in the area that had been operating for years. University of Idaho signed an agreement with the Moscow Police Department to provide funding to have a special patrol and a special set of officers that were integrated with the University of Idaho, and given the order to basically get a contact in every single fraternity and sorority on campus to work with them to look for drugs and sexual assaults within the fraternities and sororities.
Right.
That essentially turns college kids into CIs for the Moscow Police Department. They're encouraged to find somebody who will rat on drug activity and sexual assaults in the fraternities and sororities. That agreement they don't want to acknowledge about, because I think Steve Gonzalez tipped his hat when he said if they had been watching the house like they were supposed to that night, that wouldn't have happened. They were on patrol that night watching the house on Taylor Avenue, is my theory. They were that car that caught the Banfield runners was sitting there with the gap looking right at 1122 King Road residence. They were parked exactly where they could see between the whites and the what they call the tree house.
Yes,
they could look
were.
right into 1122
They
King Road residence, and they were watching the house because they knew that there was something possibly going down, and the murders happened right under their nose. And it was a huge embarrassment to the university, and it was a huge embarrassment to the MPD, and it could have led to all the reasons to hide all the shit about how they should have been watching that house. They knew it was coming, and they didn't stop it. So that's what I think is hidden in that information.
My mic work?
Lee, check Teams, Lee.
Check.
All right.
Is my microphone working?
Yes.
It sounds like you're in a like another room though. Sarge, try to. It might be your head. Are you wearing headphones?
No, sir. How about now?
Try it again.
How about now?
We can hear you, but you're very muffled.
Yeah. It happened.
But you never sounded like this before, ever.
I know. How about, is that any better right there?
A little
we
bit.
can hear you clear, but you sound a little muffled. But we can hear you clear.
Okay.
It sounds like your microphone is picking up all the background noise and stuff like that, and kind of like
Is it still
avoiding
doing
you.
Oh, then my electronics are conspiring against me like Dago's does.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
right.
So when you said, all right, this is like it's resonating in my mind, that Steve Gonzalez said early on that if they were watching this house, this wouldn't have happened. Words to those effect, if I'm not quoting you precisely.
Yeah.
What about Turvey saying that this was revengeful rage, what he saw, especially with respect to Kaylee?
Yeah.
Who feels Kaylee was the target? That's what Turvey. That's Turvey's belief.
I mean, based on her injuries, the amount, it's very probable to me that she was. I'll say it like this: one of the targets, but seems to be the main target. I can say it that way.
I want to show something. Amanda, our document queen, has provided some documents, and I feel a little hesitant to show it because I haven't vetted it all. I mean, I don't doubt her. That's not what I'm saying. Apparently Amanda got this from Lana at Truth and Transparency. Lana went after some records, but to go to that AVL data and the Moscow Police Department Special Patrol, this is what Amanda showed me backstage.
The Special Patrol. I want to know which kind. Now that, thank you, Amanda, for reminding me.
I believe
this
is real.
You know, which
let me show you what's
do we
on.
know?
Yes, we do. Listen to this. I don't know what this document is. This was a screenshot that Amanda provided. One person in plain clothing, party patrol, on 11/12/2022, which resulted in 13 total citations, 4 of which were minors in possession, 8 drug-related citations, and 1 citation. Now look at this. Here's more records she obtained, I think. Month 11/12/2022, Jacob Tesdall, party patrol, and the hours it worked. And then
Where's Rosendahl?
I know.
Yeah.
Jacob
Oh,
Tesdall, party patrol.
I saw this.
10 hours.
Lana saying that it looks as though there might be redacted or whited out information.
Yeah, she said they
Tisdale.
kind of falsified who was on duty and who wasn't on duty. Again, and where before I don't want to get too far into the weeds. Where I'm going with that is I think that's the key to what was going on that night. I think the Moscow Police Department agreement with the University of Idaho, the special patrol, they were watching the house. They knew something was happening that night and it happened under their nose. I really, in my gut, feel like that's a lot of what happened on why they covered a lot of shit up. They may have known exactly
why would Snyder whisper anything to his captain? Okay, the highest ranking person. I mean, I think that Anthony, what's his face, was there too, but would have been Lanier. Why is he whispering that? Why is he like turning off body cam? Or you're not supposed to turn off body cam. Where's Juan? Where's our expert over here? Not supposed to turn off body cam.
I'm going to jump down so I don't disturb your electronic vibe. But before I go, I just want to make a certain point. When this started with Syra and this stream tonight, right? And as we walked our way through the information and we started to explore things that aren't normally have been explored by a lot of the folks that think he's innocent, right? We've come full circle to a position that we were never in before, in making considerations of data that may very well exist, that Sy's been alluding to, right? And I think that's quite a change from how the stream began, because there was a lot of like animosity towards Syra, and even though there may be some, I think what you guys have all collected and started to discuss does have a lot of merit. And I want to thank you for allowing me to come up. Sorry if I ruined your electronic vibe.
your microphone sounds super weird. I don't know why, but
yeah, I'm super weird myself. But it's a wonderful thing when you can accept the potential that you're wrong or misunderstood something, and you're willing to change directions because it makes sense to do so. That's awesome.
Good point. Good point.
Right.
Thanks, Sarge.
Be good, everybody.
Sarge, and don't be a stranger over on my channel. You said
I come in on your channel. You never even see me in the chat room, honey.
Huh?
You don't see me in your chat room. I say stuff, I get ignored. I feel like 2025.
Who's ignoring you?
I don't know.
Thanks, Sarge.
We'll see you.
See you
Thanks,
soon, Sarge.
Appreciate it.
I love that guy.
So yeah,
He says Keystone Cops. I can't take it. I laugh.
I know.
So it's been a theory of mine for a while that the reason why I'm not getting any response on the AVL data, which by the way, to be fair, is totally one's recommendation. He said,
That's right.
I didn't even know what AVL data was. And he's like, you need to go after the AVL data. I'm like, what is that? And he's like, it's the movements of all the police cars that night and where their cars were. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. And I put it off for a while. And he's like, why aren't you going after the AVL data? And I'm like, okay, damn it. And when I kind of made the connection between the master services agreement and a special patrol, I was like, oh, I am curious. Where was their special patrol that night?
Right.
Was it right out? Was there special patrol sitting on Taylor Avenue looking at the 112T? Because I'm telling you what, if their special patrol that night, and I think it was sitting there looking at 1122 King Road from Taylor Avenue, I don't find that a coincidence at all.
Not
agree.
at all. And look, they also got a bird's eye view of two of the fraternity houses, right? A couple of fraternity houses. They looked.
Oh yeah.
Houses. Look to the left. You see 1122, infamous
Definitely.
party house.
Yeah.
But somebody in chat had brought up, where is Rosie's body cam from a certain? I want to add, where's Rosie's report from that night? We have Tisdale. We got Tisdale's report. It's a year now, but they will never give us Rosenthal's report. We know he was working that night.
It seems like they're hiding Rosenthal's, and that's what Lana is, I guess, is getting furious about. Is they seem to be covering up Rosenthal's movements that night, or when he was on, or lying about when he was working, or it's all rumor, but it sounds like she's on the trail of like what you're saying his hours were and what was reported somewhere else are not consistent. So when was and why are you covering up on where Rosenthal was?
And Amanda just dropped the link for the Tisdale report, which we've had for a year. And Tisdale was supposedly the driver of the vehicle. And he said that they pulled in front of, they're putting themselves right in front of 1122, Lee, in the Tisdale report. And he's saying, oh, I really couldn't look at the girls who were in front of the house because I'm driving. I'm looking for alcohol. I'm like,
Yeah,
well, where's your
looking
buddy
for-
who's riding
Yeah.
shotgun with you? He's got plenty
Yes.
of time to be looking over. Where's his
Right.
report?
Yes, 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 and yes.
If you listen to Molly and believe her, and it is Tisdale that she saw that night, where was Rosenthal at? Why was he not in the car?
Yeah.
Good question. And why is he being sent to go meet with Jack D to retrieve the dog, and he doesn't even have his body cam on?
Right.
This is the significant other of the young lady who was brutalized more than anyone else times 5 years. And he's not going to have his body cam on in case he says something incriminating.
That is a good point.
You
Very
didn't see
good point.
Rosenthal around the property. I didn't see in any of the body cams.
And there's a crazy, this is not a, should I say this? Friday Night Fucker, I need to be careful.
Yes, please, Lee. We're all friends here.
There's a rumor out there that the size fucking 14 or whatever shoe print that they found heading towards Jack DeCour's place on that side of the property that they kind of photographed and said that happens to be approximately the same size shoe as Rosenthal.
Ooh.
That he has big shoe size. That's what I've been told. Now I haven't
And-
heard
Okay.
verified.
All right. Now,
And-
if we're gonna let loose everybody, what about how about the infamous Gooch comment
Right.
to DM saying, "Oh well, we wear." Gooch is MPD, right? She's
Yeah.
MPD.
ISP.
ISP,
Okay.
yeah.
We here in law enforcement wear balaclavas to hide our identity, so
Right.
that people won't come after us and our families and where we
Yep.
are. So she's literally putting that on a platter.
Good one. Good
Oh
one,
my
Kathy.
God. You can't
Well-
make that shit up.
You know what's funny is being that footprint was brought up. one of the very first things said in the new Netflix series coming out, they used the clip of them standing at the back door, and they're pointing to the 13.5 footprint and they say it goes to and comes back from in the backyard, 13.5. And I said, I never realized that it went and came back. And
Right. I'd only heard one direction, or I thought it went one direction.
and I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So
Was that one of the footprints that Lanier stepped over when he went outside? Smith looked.
I don't
like he
think
was
so.
gonna cry.
Lanier
Another
stepped on footprints going towards the back parking lot. This would be off to the side of the house, I think, going towards.
Oh, okay. So there's something else. There's another.
Yeah,
set.
I think
And
so.
you're saying here, Dago, that they're talking about it coming and going
yes, ma'am.
in the direction of
Away from the
possibly
back of the house.
JD
Yeah. Basically.
Why was he suspect one?
I don't know. Well, because he's an ex-boyfriend. And
Until-
you know what's funny? What I was gonna say though, with that footprint, the way it's going, that would be the direction you would go if you're trying to avoid a camera. Okay.
Yes. Right. You can go along the side of 1118 and be off camera from 1112, where all the camera
Yeah.
catches you could walk. But again, Hippler made it very clear the murderer arrived in a car, so it can't be anybody on foot. So
Yeah, he
we
made
can
it
rule that
very
out because
clear.
Hippler told us that nobody could have arrived on foot because it was done by car.
I don't
He
believe there was a
so
car
out of
involved at
line
all.
With that was not. That was a disputed material fact. That a classic jury question right there. Did the suspect or suspects arrive by car? Did they roller skate? Were they inside the house? Did they crawl? Did they run? Did they walk? That's a jury question. Is suspect vehicle one Mr. Koberger's
Yep.
car or not? That's a jury
Right.
question. First thing when he came out, and then I want to know if in the alternative perp, because that is completely under seal, or most of it is, was
Yeah.
JD raised, and did they use the ISP documents to say, look, he's suspect one? And that was just unsealed by
Well-
Hippler this past week.
If you remember, in part of the alt suspect situation, the statement was made that they lived close in proximity to the house and they could have gotten there back and forth on foot. So I would guess that he could have been raised, Kathy, is at least one of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to read that. I mean, even like
It
and then
is.
they have the hearing, as so many hearings under seal in the super secret case. That's what gets me. It's why was this case like Fort Knox?
Oh, I
It's
know.
like this is an inquest into the JFK
It is.
or something like that.
All the
people think that-
redactions reminds me of JFK. It's crazy.
I hate to say this, but unalivings happen every week in this country, and sometimes they're mass. They're not sealed like this case was,
Right.
not by a long shot, and they're certainly not sealed for a year later. So, Lee, going back to your theory, which I think is one of my theories as well, I think it answers a lot of questions. At the
Yeah,
very
and
least, it answers
it's just a
questions.
theory. It's just a theory. Like, it's not an allegation, but I feel like wouldn't it answer so much about why they covered up what they know about the case? If they were supposed to watch the house, if there was a CI that was working with the police, if the house got hit because somebody was ratting on a drug trade or something like that, and the house got hit because they were working with cops, how embarrassing would it be for them to have to admit to families that we got your kids killed because we employed your kids as confidential informants and that got them killed? And would they be
100%
inclined
facts.
to look at it as a different way? Well, maybe it was just a random guy from out of town that did this.
Random. And it goes back to they had his name potentially day 1, maybe day 3. Goes back to, okay, everyone, you're safe. You're safe.
Yeah,
This was
we know it was a targeted attack. Everybody's
Exactly.
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Especially immediately the first press conference. No worries. Everybody's safe. You're good. Don't worry about it. You shouldn't be able to make that call by
And
any
then if
means,
you
unless you know
answers
something.
to questions, you're going to have to trust us.
Right.
To me, it makes total sense why there would be a lot of reasons to hide what really happened. And the worst part is then you ask yourself, as the comment by Syra, well, Frank Koberger was the best candidate. It's almost like, well, we can't say what really happened. So who's the best candidate for saying who did do it? Well, maybe it's this creepy kid from WSU that seems to look like he's an incel, and we can make a case against this kid, and he happened to be out driving that night. Let's just say it was him. Even though I'm going to pitch the idea, even though we know now he wasn't even heading that direction. He was maybe heading the opposite direction, and it's not true what direction we said they went, but we're just going to make the argument that it was him driving his car that went out driving that night. Well, we can make it work. And so we'll just tell everybody this is suspect vehicle 1. It's his car. It matches his car because he's the best candidate he's our best guy that we can shoehorn into this. Is that possible? I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Lately,
definitely.
I want to ask you many, many moons ago, maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, you would opine, you had said that, hey, Christopher Whitcomb had given you some information. It was, you would promise not to disclose it. And I tried to tempt you by saying, well, you ever hear the phrase promises are meant to be broken, Lee? Can you tell us? And you, of course, being a man of integrity, would not. Has anything come out now, especially with what we've learned from Syra, that might confirm what you were told confidentially as a journalist?
Remind me what I said that I was hiding, because I
Not
kind of
hiding. No. You were told things confidentially.
Yeah, they have
Yes,
come out,
and-
Lee.
that Wickham,
just talked
Wickham had
about it.
told Wickham had told you many things, and you
Okay.
felt that it was true because some of it had come to fruition, what he had told you. But there
all right,
was
I'll
more.
tell you some of those things, because I think we can do this without getting in trouble at this point. I was told before it was public several things. One, all of the victims were on birth control. And that wasn't confirmed until after the book came out, and it came out that they all had IUDs. I was told that Kayla Gonzalez had a tampon in her body at the time. That was not public knowledge when I heard about it. I was told other details about the bodies that came out in the documents that weren't released at the time, which makes me believe that the stuff that I was being told was accurate, because that's exactly what came out in the documents when they came out. So that's the kind of stuff that I was talking about. I had heard details that when it came out, I was like, that's exactly what I was told I was going to find. Now there was additional detail. And this is where I have to be vague. There was additional details told to me that I can't talk about because it hasn't come out yet.
That's
But
what
what
I'm
I'm saying
interested in.
The details
of
that
them.
did come out. Yeah, go ahead.
The Netflix thing that just dropped.
The Netflix thing was also told to me ahead of time that the Netflix special was coming. I had made the comment, gosh, I hope none of this gets Christopher Whitcomb in trouble, because I'm not trying to get Christopher Whitcomb in trouble. But I was told when I asked Christopher Whitcomb, hey, I've been told that Brian Koberger may be filing post-conviction relief. His answer to me in private was something to this effect. Well, I just came out with the book. Multiple whistleblowers are going to be coming out very shortly. A Netflix special is going to be coming out, and all of it's going to happen before post-conviction relief, and it may inform his post-conviction relief. So I was waiting for all of those things. Who are the whistleblowers? Well, now I think it might be Brent Turvey is one of the whistleblowers for sure. Maybe Syra was one of the other whistleblowers. I'm not sure. Is the Netflix special that we think is a hit piece? Maybe there's going to be a shocker in there that's going to lead to another thought of Brian Koberger's post-conviction relief. So I was hinted that, yes, the book timing, the whistleblowers coming out, and the Netflix special are all going to be before the post-conviction relief and are going to inform post-conviction relief.
Look at this. The Dateline special came out right about the time of the final pretrial conference. Remember, May 15th, the mid part of May is when that happened. And now we have this Netflix special coming. Hey, thank you, City Sue. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
you're thanking people on my behalf. Thank you, Kathy. That's amazing.
But
Now, whose side is that on?
That was on yours, I think,
On
Diego.
your side. Yeah.
Welcome
we have
to.
this Netflix special that's coming out like a month and a half before the deadline for post-conviction relief. And I said to myself, why is this coming out now, July 29th?
Oh, hold that thought,
because
Kathy.
it's a year? Is it a year? Is it something else, Lee?
Hold that thought,
do you
Kathy,
think?
because there is also, I found out, an AMC special dropping
Yes.
on the 23rd. So they're all dropping before each other. And I've been saying every time something happens, one of these hit pieces or something drops right alongside or right before or right after. So we have another one coming as well.
I suspect the AMC is going to be another hit piece. The first one
I agree.
was, and
I agree.
I'm sure the second one's going to be as well. But yeah, I can't say, because again, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. And all I was told, and again, that might be their personal opinions. Their personal opinions are there are other things in the works. But like I said, all I can say for a feather in their cap is details of the autopsy report that they told me in confidentiality before it came out seemed to actually be true. So
yeah, that's how you confirm it. I mean, if he's telling you beforehand and then it comes out, then he knows what he's talking about. I know that he certainly, when he gave me a couple, and I've been trying to look at this case and take pieces of the puzzle every time Hippler decides to drop something every 6 months, whenever he feels like it. And the problem is he gives you 2 additional pieces, and then you got to take 10 away because they
and Kathy
something.
And Catherine, let me add this. And by the way, we need to wrap up in about 10 minutes or so because I got another show to do on the Beyond channel. But let me add this. Whitcomb tells me some of these details that, hey, look, some stuff's going to come out. You're going to find out that, the girls were all on IUDs. They all, whatever, all these details that weren't out in the public that came out to be true. So that leads you to believe that he saw things. And he said, I'm telling you, I saw the autopsy report. There's a clump of hair in Ethan's hand. Syra told you that's bullshit. There's no clump of hair. And when those photos get released, you're going to see that how are the photos going to get released? It's illegal to do so. They passed a law saying that no one's allowed to see it. So it leaves me with the question. Is Whitcomb the liar who told me I saw the photo for myself and there's a clear clump of hair in his hand? And he look, when he was on my interview, he even showed you his hand was like this, but it was in a relaxed state, as if it had slightly relaxed, and there was still a clump of hair. Did he fucking lie about all that? Even though he was right about all the other details I heard? But he lied about that, and Brent and Dr. Turvey lied about that, and Syra is the one who's telling the truth when he said it's one hair. There's no fucking hair in his hand.
Hey, Lee, I want to point out something that could possibly decide who's the liar. Okay, is it the 2 or is it the 1 over here? There's a picture that ISP released. I don't know if it was an accident, but that's when we got all of the crime scene photos, and we saw the floor, we saw the red DNA that Marshall said we weren't supposed to see. Hey, this is ISP. It's not MPD. They're doing their own thing. It was down for a short period of time. Then it was pulled. There is a clump of hair on the ground.
I'm
by
looking
the
for it right
wall.
now. I would like to show that before we close tonight. I'll show.
Oh, yeah.
I'll show it
It's
again if I
by
can
the
find it.
wall. I'm not imagining this.
No, it's there.
It's
So
there, plain
is
as
that-
plain as day.
let's see if it's 6 inches long, because that's
Oh, yeah,
what I
it
think.
is.
That's what
But-
Christopher Wickham said. It was
Yeah,
6 inches
I believe
long
it is,
yesterday in his
Kathy.
interview.
I believe it is.
Let me see if I can find it. If can you guys all help me look? It was in that big 1,000 something page dump that ISP did. So let me see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, Sophie's confirming it's a clump of hair. It is a clump
Oh
of
yeah,
hair.
I want to show it. I want
Yeah.
to show it to people because I want to show it along with the bed frame that has the clump. The bed frame has hair all over it, and again, Syra told you there's one hair. It's debris,
Yeah.
and there's only one hair.
No,
Yeah.
there's a lot more hair than just one piece
Bullshit.
of hair.
We saw the pictures, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's
try
a
to find
big
it.
ass,
real-
big clump of it mixed in with the blood on the
Yes.
floor.
It
100%.
is, Dago. At first, I thought, sometimes what girls will do, they'll try to cut their hair. Maybe that's Xana's hair. It fell under the bed when she
Yeah.
was trying to maybe do her hair or something, because she did have long hair. But I said, but then when I hear
It's a
Turvey
blonde.
and
It's a
Wickham,
blondish. Yeah, it's a dirty dishwater blonde color too, and it matches the color that he told us it was. So
it matches the color. It's about the same length, and it's on top of either a postcard or a card or something nearby the wall.
I found the photos. Hold on, I just got to find the
Yay,
right
you're
one.
the
I got the
best, Lee.
photo. I think I got the photo dump. I just got to find the right photo.
What she was, three clumps, hand, frame, floor.
Come on, I know it's got to be there.
I used to know
This
the
is-
number. Is it 9? Try 975, Lee, or 972.
I just had the second dump. I didn't have the first. I'm looking for the. Damn it! Come on, where's Amanda Eater? I know she's got this fucking.
She's looking right now. She's looking.
Amanda's look. She's on
Yeah.
the job.
I just don't remember
She's
the
going through
photo
thousands
number.
of pages.
Yeah, I'm looking.
I-
The one I'm looking at is not the 1,000-page dump. I'm looking for the 1,000-something page dump, and
I think it's in the 900s. I think. Don't quote me. I remember that one specifically that we looked at multiple. Yeah, 940 starts Xana's room. So
Where is? I gotta get the
Oh,
file.
good. It's in
though.
the 940s. Okay.
Maybe it's in here.
Yeah, they're saying in
it's
chat
this one.
940 starts Santa's room late. That helps.
I need the file. I'm trying to find the file so I can show it.
I'm looking
Oh,
too. Don't worry.
Robin, while the men are looking, I want to ask you a question. What do you think Brent Turvey said to Detective Brett Payne in the city room when he saw that clump of hair glued to the side of the bed? Because Payne is who let him in. Would you have liked to have been a fly on the wall? I would have said,
Oh,
I
yeah.
see this in the
Oh,
affidavit. Like,
yeah.
the affidavit of probable
And-
cause. I didn't see that here, Detective Payne. What do you
Agreed.
think? Robin?
There's so much that was brushed aside or hidden or just why should we
Oh.
bother collecting that even though it's a crime scene? Why collect that? Why test this? We already know what happened.
I might have found it. Hold on.
If you find it right before I find it, I'm just gonna quit.
No,
I'm
keep
just
looking because keep looking
just
because I got
kidding.
like 5 files to look through, but I think I found the big files that have all.
I
the-
got you. I'm just teasing. Come on.
Oh
give me
yeah,
one.
this might be it. Hold on, I'm so excited.
It might be it.
Turvey,
But yeah,
we just
probably
wanna-
freaked out.
Oh
Just
no,
Sure he
this is
did.
the one with all the knife sheath and shit. It's not the one I'm looking for. This is not the droid I'm looking for.
That was funny.
That's not the droid.
I remember that.
Damn it, man! What? See, I got to get better at my file documentation because I get called
It's-
on the carpet and then I got to show it real quick.
It's just amazing to me how we have this battle of the experts going on.
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh look,
Definite.
Amanda
Yeah,
sent it. Oh, here we
I-
go.
She get it? I
Yeah.
knew she would.
She's got one of the She's got one of the photos. It's not the one with the clump of hair that I wanted to show.
What number is it?
She just sent me an individual photo.
Oh, okay.
1047 of 2007, 2790. So the batch she sent a picture of was 1047 of 2790 photos. And it's not the one I was looking for. These are not the droids I'm looking for. Hold on.
Oh shit! No, I'm in the wrong. How did I get into this one now? We have too
Damn
many
it.
documents, you guys.
Amanda,
Too many
Amanda, you
documents.
got the right document. Now find the photo.
I swear it's in the 900s, Amanda.
Amanda's gonna find it.
That's a brutal photo, by the way. Oh, hold on. I've got the dump.
Fine.
Hold on. I
Found
got
it.
the I got the
Told you
right
she's gonna
file.
be
I
Got
got
the
the right
dump. That
file.
doesn't sound good.
I got the right file. Now we got to find the right image. 900 and something you thought it was at?
I think so. 940 something or 970 something.
Stand by.
Try 972.
Okay. Well, 972 ain't it, but the 900 and somethings are Xana and Ethan's room for sure. Stand by. Stay on target.
I'm not even close yet, so
I at least got the file, so we're getting way closer.
I'm still folding.
Okay,
floating
Happy
through the
Hounds
drive.
is saying A.R. Hayes to the guys he knows in the same cell block with BK has mentioned that BK has been leading the cell to interact with attorneys. He's being an advocate there over in J Block.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. He knows about
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of
not surprising.
terminology.
Luther said 1040, Lee.
Yes. Okay. Hold on. 1040. I'm at 1033, so I'm almost there. 1040. Oh,
That would be a
1040.
good way for him to win friends and influence people. You know, all those prisoners are working
Right.
on their post-conviction relief appeals and stuff.
1040 ain't
They
on the
can
one
help
that
them.
I'm looking at. Damn it. Oh, hold on.
Thank Luther.
All right, we're gonna have to look together. Warning,
I'm still
everyone.
looking.
The following photos are going to be graphic in nature. These are crime scene photos that were released to the public. I'm going to go ahead and put it
Luther,
on
if you
screen.
have it.
All right, so
Oh,
here's
wait.
the bed frame, right?
It's close to this one. Here we go. Yep.
So right here, this is probably where the hair clump is at that they've got redacted. They
No,
pulled the
it's,
bed frame across. Hold on.
There's another one where they show it.
Yeah, there's another one where they show it.
There is. I know. I've seen the clump, the full clump of hair. Damn it! Come on, guys. Why can't we find it?
Amanda said she sent 1047.
1047. Okay, hold on.
I still can't believe ISP released all this.
Oh, there's the one on the bed
1047.
frame.
Yeah, but it's not from the angle that I remember seeing.
Okay, so the bed frame's exposed. Where's the hair on the bed frame?
Right there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, this one doesn't have.
Oh my God.
Hold
that's
on.
Oh, where'd it
horrible.
go? Where's it at?
Yeah, there were. This is not the one I remember seeing a good clump of hair on the bed frame.
There
This
is.
not right. This is not the droids we're looking for.
Oh my God.
Okay, hold on. Damn it, we're right
Maybe
there
they-
in the section.
Did they move it? I mean, it was near that postcard.
It was right there. They may have taken the photo out.
Stand by.
There's the footprint.
Where I'm going back right here.
Yeah. That's the one that has the circle within it. I think it's a Nike. I can't remember the name of it, but that's the footprint.
Yeah, I know the picture you're talking about.
I can see it in my mind clear
Me
as.
too.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. See this? You see that?
That's part of it.
Yes.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
That's part of it. And then when they
And then
move
there's
the
more on the
bed frame
ground.
away from the wall, there's a whole big huge clump of hair on the floor as well. That's part
Yep.
of it right there. So let's see if we
Yes.
can find the rest.
Yes, sir. It should be right there.
And that would be where his hand would have been, probably.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So here's where his hand was holding the hair.
Mm.
Damn it.
That's when Turby said his hand slid down between the wall and the bed, and some of it fell out of his hand,
Yeah.
and the rest of it got glued to his hand by the blood coagulating.
The one on the floor, you can see very clearly it didn't have as much of that red DNA
Right.
on it.
Right.
Damn it. Why is this so hard to find the clump? We've all seen it.
It should have
We've
been
all
right
seen
in
it.
unison with
It
that
should
other
be
one.
right in there.
Wait.
It's
It
right.
is.
It's
It should
probably
have been
hidden right
around
there.
south of where that can is.
Yeah, it is like right within that group right
Remember they re-released the batch.
Yes.
They had the batch up for a
Yes.
little bit, and then they freaked out because they showed an actual picture of the body. They showed Xana's body on the ground, and then they
Mhm.
freaked out and took it away, and they republished it. So maybe this is part of the republished set.
Yeah, but I'm not on the right computer. I have it actually downloaded. They can't suck it back from my computer.
Oh my God, Becky! Look at her butt. Okay, hold on. Anyways, If you guys find it, let me know. I'm fishing all over the frame. But hopefully some of you saw the clump of hair, not one hair strand, not debris, a clump of brownish blonde hair, not Xana's dark black hair. Like he said, well, Ethan had one strand of Xana's hair in his hand. Bullshit. Xana's hair, not sandy blonde like the clump of hair stuck to the bed frame.
Isn't that? I'm thinking. Isn't that what Molly, when she said the peekaboo person up on the 3rd floor
Was a dark haired person, a brunette,
blonde or something like that?
I thought she said it was a brunette. She saw up at the window. Something
with long hair, right?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people keep saying they think a female was involved in this. A lot of people.
Well, anyways, I'm sorry that I couldn't find it. I've teased the shit out of it, and the crime scene photos I know are disturbing. Good thing we saved it for late. You had to be here late, but look, shit, we got a shit ton of people here late, so a lot of people did get to see it. So, someone said they saw it on the floor too. I didn't see it on the floor. Did you get the photo number when I was scrolling through? Did you see? Because I didn't see it. There should be a very, very distinct clump on the floor.
You can't miss
there
it.
is, without a doubt.
Yeah,
there is.
this one pic.
Yeah,
I can't find it in my.
And it was brown. It wasn't Xana's hair. It's not Coburg. Coburg doesn't have that color hair either.
No.
So why did somebody just flat out laugh at everybody about the idea that there was hair ripped out of somebody's head? That's a fucking lie. It's in the photos. It's in the photos that have been released.
Oh shit. I'm gonna have to drop out of here, Lee. I just had something happen here, but thank you very much. Good to have you, or good to be here with you guys tonight. Kathy, it was wonderful to have you join us, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Doug. Have a great evening. I'm going to jump off too, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it. It's a good time to wrap up for us as well, because we have an after show to do. Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Right.
All right. So, Robin and I think Robin's going to be there as well. Robin and I will be on our alternate channel, The Devil's Advocates Beyond. It's a completely different thing. So don't expect to see more crime scene photos or talk about Syra. We won't talk about that on the other site, but we will talk about crazy paranormal shit and stuff like that might tangentially, I pronounced that right, even on a Friday fuckery, tangentially be connected, but not really about Idaho 4 per se. So if you want to join us, check us out on The Devil's Advocates Beyond. Thank you for joining us on your Friday night and sharing your time with us, even though there's other streamers covering this. We appreciate it very much. Robin, thank you for co-hosting with me tonight. Amanda, thank you as well for helping us dig up documents on the fly like you always do. Essie, thanks for moderating. All of you people who are out there helping, thank you so much for everything you do for the channel. Let's keep fighting the good fight and just asking good questions, not making accusations, not victim shaming. We're just asking questions. Please be consistent with your freaking statements. Don't change your mind and say you're going to testify at one point that Brian Koberger was going south and west towards Wawawe and then say he went north instead. Where the hell did that change happen? Those kind of things bother us and keeps us up, myself at least, late at night. All right. Take it easy, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night.